Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings. Today, a smorgasbord of topics, a PGA recap, March Madness recap, what's going on in NFL free agency. Might have to give out some grades, too, on some signings that I know that one person in this studio really loved, and we'll get to that in a minute. Plus, we're going to be bringing you a whole slate of collectibles from the Collectible app. So what you do is go download the Collectible app right now. You can find the link in the description. Use code FTN while you're at it too, to let you know that people from the Pat Mayo Experience and FTN Daily.com, FTNBets.com, FTNFantasy.com sent you over there because there's a very interesting opportunity if you want to get in on some sports collectibles, and there's some brand new ones dropping this week on the app. Jeff Feinberg will save your boy Jared Cook here for a minute, but you're big on this collectible thing. I actually really like it. I think people have been so priced out of everything at this point. You need to be like a legit Richmond in order to own like the newest semi-exclusive like card. If you want to get into Top Shots, it's even more expensive if you're trying to buy one of the good ones. You want to buy an MTF and a Crypto Punk, then it's going to cost you like $70K. Not necessarily the case with collectibles, but the best thing is they're super high-end collectibles. So you can get in as it's essentially an IPO. So they're run through like the SEC. Everything is insured, so your money is good once you get in, and you just buy fractional shares of these like super rare things. I like it.
Yeah, I'm very bullish on the fractional ownership, the concept of fractional ownership. There's no way you would otherwise be able to own a piece of these sorts of items. And I would go as far as to say some of the vintage stuff that Collectible puts up for IPO is, I would say, a safer investment than precious metals, Pat.
You would rather have
They're not making
Andre the Giant's jock strap, a part ownership of that, than gold, is what you're saying?
I would assume that's pretty much one of one or one of two, like on the planet right now. And in many cases, it's more rare than gold, and it's a pretty safe, prudent investment. The vintage cards with a quality grading, there's no speculation. You don't need a lot of these players to win MVPs, to win Super Bowls, to reach their value. They already are these peak performers in the history of the game that will go down with time, and their rare vintage collectibles will only go up in value.
So I did one of them the other day. I just was doing it like I partnered up with the guys at Collectible. Alex over at Collectible, real character, good dude. But I shot a video for them over there where the investors were in on this Ernie Banks card from January. So they had bought the IPO for it, and it was valued at a certain price. It's leaving my mind now. I think it was at like $37,000 is what people bought their shares at. So there was a market cap on it. There was only so many shares available. And then someone offered to buy the card outright. I think it was for $67,000. So what had to happen is everyone who owns shares of this card has to go to essentially a shareholder vote to see if they want to sell it at that price or not. And they decided it was a 61% ROI is what it was for whatever the offer was coming in at. And they voted, no, we're keeping it.
There was a release of a Sandy Koufax card that they keep going to shareholder votes because they keep getting insane offers for it, Pat. And they keep turning down
untrue.
the offers.
Untrue now. The 1955 Sandy Koufax Topps number 123 rookie card came up in, let's see here, January 5th. It was listed at $36,000. So that's what people bought their shares at, their IPO shares. And it sold on March 10th for $100,000. So it was a 159.8% ROI.
In look at the period of time. And between now and that sale, Pat, they turned down two hefty offers. So I am incredibly bullish on this, and it seems like very smart people are realizing that these vintage collectibles are as safe as an investment as almost anything out there. They are as blue chip as you get. They ain't making more of them. And even when Collectible dabbles in the newer cards, those are also incredibly fun, Pat. But, those involve speculation. There's a lot of speculation involved in that. And there's a lot of people that are in our sort of niche area that like to pick these 3 or 4 guys in each sport, like which ones are going to finish with the MVP trophies, which ones are going to win the Super Bowls, and which ones are going to obtain those types of offers that we have seen some new age cards sell for in the last 6, 12, 18 months. Incredible stuff.
Yeah, so the biggest thing is, like, just coming back to it, is if you don't have a ton of money but you want to be into this market and you don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to invest, you can just buy shares of a lot of the stuff. Like the one like you're talking about, there was a 2017 Patrick Mahomes Panini Flawless Emerald Rookie Patch Auto.
I would say there's less.
It was listed at $135K. It sold at the end of last year for $182,000. I bet if they hadn't have sold it, it would be like $300,000
Yes.
now.
I would argue, maybe a year ago, I would argue we're now at the point where Mahomes is no longer a speculative asset.
Fair enough.
But there are a lot of guys in the NBA that fill this space that their premium high-end stuff is worth insane amounts that have yet to win MVPs or championships, like a Trae Young, like a Jason Tatum, like a Luka Doncic. And to get in on some of, as you sort of said off the top, Pat, like just the mid-level stuff. No one can afford even the mid-level stuff. So I'm super excited to play sort of armchair GM with a lot of these fractional investments that I could never get a piece of otherwise.
Well, the main thing today is that we have the release schedule for what's coming out this week on the Collectible app. So once again, download the Collectible app, use the code FTN. When you're up there, hit the link in the description. But they're all like vintage stuff this week. So who better to talk about vintage products with than a man who was born in 1812, Tim Undercust?
That's not my name. Yeah, I saw a tweet like that today where somebody said I was born in the wrong generation or something. It's like, well, whatever.
Wrong century, I think that they may have.
Wrong century. Well, yeah, clearly.
So do any of the, I didn't give you the list of what's on tap, right?
No, I mean, I'm not good with what I'm good with. Well, I mean, I have a devastating story about my collectibles I want to tell. No one knows this story. I didn't even tell this to my friends here because I didn't want it to get out to you that this had happened because I wanted it to be fresh for the show.
Well, Tim, is that a tease that we're going with right now? I think you should the people have tuned in. Yeah. They want to hear about collectibles. I think they want to hear about your collectibles. Did you break all of your Mr. Peanut stuff?
Everyone's got bad stories.
So for the first time in many, many, many months, maybe well over a year, on Thursday, I decided to look at some of my Coke collectibles. Now, where I keep them is in a different room on top of this old oaken armoire that I have. So I picked up the first one, which is my gold Coca-Cola Olympics can, and I couldn't move it. And I got very concerned. It wouldn't budge. It was stuck to the top of the armoire. And I could feel my fingers being able to push against the can. Ooh. Well, what had happened was that the can developed some sort of an erosion and the Coke got out and it disintegrated. So I move on next to my other Olympic can that I have up there. The same thing is happening. I can't move it. So now I'm freaked. So then I reach to my prized possession.
Batman Returns.
And it's ruined. It's ruined. There was a little hole in it, and I can't move it. And so now, these cans that meant so much to me, they're all empty. They have no worth now, essentially. And, you think this is bad? So I'm telling my father that day, look what happened to these cans. And I said to him, because I also couldn't find my Batman he threw my Batman Forever mug away. He was clearing out that room, and he said, who wants this junk, apparently? And he threw away my mug.
He's talked about this mug for
I told him I can't replace that mug. I can't go down the street to McDonald's and get another one. And he said, well, I didn't realize you wanted it. I've been keeping it for 25 years.
Batman
however
Forever.
long.
So was like
My
Tommy
mug
Lee
is
Jones,
gone.
Jim
My
Carrey,
mug
that
is
one.
gone. It's the one, yeah, where the handle is made out of the coins from Two-Face. So my mug is gone, and my cans are ruined. And then I cried because I was devastated that my collectibles are ruined. And then I thought, okay. Usually I would just tell, our text thread what disaster. I was like, no, I can't do that. This is something that I've been telling the people about this stuff long enough. I felt an obligation to tell the people directly first what had happened to me, because I'm sure these collectibles would come up in the future, and I cannot keep up a charade knowing now that they're ruined. So I needed to tell them what happened. And so the synchronicity of this opportunity with this story seemed like it was too good to be true, I guess.
Well,
But I'm still I'm reeling. I've lost all these valuables, and now I've got this. I still save the can, but there's nothing in the cans anymore. They're wasted.
so what you're
Just
saying?
like having Honest Wagnus rookie card and then folding it in half.
No.
That's essentially what's happened to me.
So I mean that's a lot of like air quotes around collectible and valuable. So what you're saying is that your Coke Olympic collection
What year Olympics?
is now worth the same as my Pepsi cans commemorating Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. It's worth exactly
I
the same.
had all
Nothing.
of those too.
What
I had all of
Olympics?
those. Well, the solid gold one was from the Vancouver Olympics.
So 2000?
So are you
And
kidding me?
some
Some mass-produced 2010 Coke can?
2010.
Yeah, but you know what? It mattered to me.
I thought you were
It was
sitting on
collectible
literally.
to me.
I thought you had some like vintage, like maybe from the Calgary Olympics,
the Munich
or
Olympics.
the Expo in Le Montreal games.
No, they're not from that. And I have some from the Beijing Olympics. And
Okay,
You have
so
modern
I
Coke
will
collectibles.
throw this out to the people right
they're
now.
all ruined.
They're
They're all
worth-
ruined.
The Pat Mayo Experience
$20.
at gmail.com. If you have these Coke cans still out
No,
there.
I don't want them.
You don't,
I don't
what
want
do
them.
you mean you don't want them? You were just devastated. I'm going to try to get them
I
back
need to be the one
for
who
you.
collected them. I collected them.
His
They were
entire-
mine because it was me.
Your entire.
I
It's
think
not
we
the
should
same.
I think we should go full Kylie Jenner, set up a GoFundMe for Tim
No.
to try to raise the $13 that he is out now.
the whole collection
No.
might be worth 20. The whole collection.
Don't care. It mattered to me. It represented to me a lifetime of collecting these things and cherishing them, and now they're gone. You can't replace them. Even if you could get an exact replica, it wouldn't be the same to me, and I do not want them.
But-
It's ruined now. That part of my life, that's from this coming Olympics.
Is that what it looks like? No.
No, they were
Oh,
cans.
it's
Those are
2020.
like bottled.
My bad.
Honestly,
Okay,
I thought
so-
you had something good like the Blue Jays cans from 92 or 93.
I do.
That's-
That's my most prized one. That's the one that's ruined them, and that's the one that my grandmother
Still
gave
probably
me
worth $6
when they won.
because everyone I know's dad has one in their basement.
Well,
so how
it meant
rare can it
something
be?
to me.
So steal
and now
it so
it's
we can give it to
ruined.
Tim.
You want it? I'll get you
No,
one.
no, I don't. No, I don't. I wanted the one that I got, that I collected, and that I looked after, and now it's all gone.
Well, two things on this. One, I feel bad for you. I'm sorry this happened to you. I know they meant a lot to you, and I'm being serious.
Did
about
you ever
that.
show them to
No,
you?
I appreciate your, and I wanted to share it first and foremost on the show with you guys and the people.
Did you look
And
into?
It actually feels good to say it out loud. Someone other than my father, who I still can't believe threw out my mug.
So, number two, along with this, do you think this is why the glass bottles for Coke inherently have more value than the cans do?
Well, this makes some intuitive sense now, doesn't it?
Now, think
I
about
also had this bottle of Fanta that I've been saving. It was a plastic bottle, and I noticed that it had like shrunk, like the air had like is evaporated. That's useless too.
so
I bought it back from the Dominican Republic when I was visiting there. I thought one day it might be valuable because at that time we couldn't buy Fanta in Canada. So I thought that might actually be like a real nifty collectible. I brought it back with me on the plane. Now, useless.
Yeah, but
all useless.
I guess
Everything I collect.
Yeah, but here's
apparently is
the thing. No,
This is
okay,
when
well,
you
here's the
bought
thing.
it.
Here, can I spin this in a positive light for you?
International travel.
No, not that necessarily. But here's the thing. The stuff wasn't worth anything anyway. It only had inherent worth to you. So what does it matter if the Coke is in the can or not? You can still keep the can.
But it's not. It's now not what I thought I had.
Well, what's the
It
difference?
wasn't.
You still
it's
have
not,
it.
It's not the whole thing. It's not the can with the actual Coke inside of it. It's something else, and it's now got the hole in it. And it's just every time I see it, and I've looked at the can a couple of times since, I just feel sick. I just feel sick.
Also, if this is what Coke is doing to cans, what is it doing to your insides, sir?
Oh,
Well, you know what? It's not in my
question.
insides
Good
for 20
question,
years.
Pat.
It's not in my insides for 15
Some of it
years.
has to linger. Guys like me,
When
and
you're-
you,
when
Tim,
you're drinking 12
we drink
a day.
enough of it. It's gotta. We can't get rid of all of it. Did you do research like after the fact? Like, are there cases that people are supposed to? If someone did have these vintage Coke cans, should they look to getting them like sealed or something, like put into a case? Because clearly, like you said, there's the sugar is eroding.
Yeah, I don't know
the,
what you
the
can do.
aluminum, right?
I
That's
don't
just-
know. I wish I had known back in the day, but it's all gone now. And like
And if someone sent you that cup, you
like
wouldn't want
Gloucester,
it.
I've been blinded.
If someone like could get that McDonald's cup, it's got to be
Nope.
worth $3, Tim.
Yeah, but it's not the cup.
Tommy
that I
Lee
went
Jones.
To get. It's not the one that I got my McDonald's pizza with when I got my mug. That means something to me. It was that one. It was mine. It was
Collectibles
mine
needs
by
to do an
rights.
IPO
And I-
on McDonald's pizza.
Just to sell it for 0.0005 cents per share.
So anyway, and I told you I had a devastating story. I did. That's that's where I am right. That's my mind. That's where my head is.
I honestly thought you had like you were gonna claim you own some amazing Gretzky rookie card.
We're gonna
or
get to that in a
something
second.
fantastic.
Because one of
The
those
opposite.
one of those is available on Collectible.
Everything I own is junk. Apparently, that's what I've learned.
Okay, well, here's something that you can get in on if you want to. So the first item up on the collectible palette this week, I thought it was going to be dropped earlier today. It says it's opening soon. Is a 1954 Tim, 8.5 graded
PSA.
PSA Hank Aaron rookie card. That's not bad. The market cap on it is $120,000. 55,000 of those dollars are still owned by the person who owns the card overall, which means that there is $65,000 available, and they're going to start selling for $10 a share for 12,000 shares because of the market cap on it. So that's, I guess there's total shares outstanding of 12,000, so there's going to be, 650? 650 shares. 6,500 shares available at $10 a pop. If you want to buy in on that, is that something that would interest you?
I will say that Hammerin' Hank is one of the 2 or 3 favorite hitters that I've ever thought about in baseball. He played before I was born, but I love the guy. Like I love Hank Aaron. You know, if I needed a home run to save my life, I'm not picking Barry Bonds.
You should
I'm not
pick Barry
picking
Bonds.
Babe
He was on
Ruth.
steroids.
I'm not picking Babe Ruth. I am picking Hank Aaron because I believe that he and he alone is the person I'd want with my life on the line, hitting a home run.
Paul, do you have the front of that card available to show on the screen?
It's a visually beautiful card.
It is, but it could be deemed as somewhat problematic by today's standards.
I actually noticed that. I was wondering. I wasn't going to bring that up, but
I made a blunder on the old title at the top there, so ignore that.
Yeah, ignore it. Yeah, Paul. I threw these at Paul last second to try to do them up. So as you can see,
The
that
rest
there's
of
a
them- the
Dr.
rest of
J,
them will be
Magic, and
good.
Larry Bird 1980 scoring leader card coming up on this
see,
too.
to me, but this is worth more than a precious metal. That 8.5 PSA graded Henry Aaron rookie card.
Like, how many of these could actually exist at this sort of quality? So,
Well,
like,
they
an
do-
8.5 grade on a card like this, I would have to assume is really high.
The great thing about PSA is they do have population reports, so people could get that information. But it's incredibly low. How many there probably are out there, and there aren't any sitting in packs that haven't been ripped yet. And if there are sitting around, they're not 8.5 graded.
Why wouldn't they? Well,
I'm just saying they probably haven't been kept in good condition.
even if they're still in the pack?
Sorry, I meant, well, like modern cards, they're still, there's such a delay to, like, it's almost a year to get your card graded from PSA at this point. That's a whole other thing. So the population reports on modern cards could be somewhat skewed. But my point being is the 8.5 population of this card, that population report is probably forever. There aren't probably many Henry Aaron ungraded rookie cards around that are being sent in today that are going to get turned in better condition than that, is my point. If they've been sitting around not taken care of for all these years.
Yeah, and kind of like what you said off the hop, you're like, you don't have to wait for LaMelo Ball to win Rookie of the Year and hopefully win an MVP. Hank Aaron's Hank Aaron.
Yeah, that is exactly my point. And all these other guys that are, I would be excited to want to invest in any of them, from a Tatis to a Soto to.
That's it. Is that the whole litany of young baseball players?
Yeah, I
you
feel
know at
like
this point? 'Cause
there's
that's more than I know.
There's a couple guys on the White Sox, but I feel like there's another like really big one. Kuna, all these guys. It'd be fun to invest in their cards, but there's levels of speculation there. That being said, I speculate them all to be great, like everyone else does. But they still have to win MVPs and championships.
Yeah.
Or be a home run king. Not happening.
No. What are Barry Bonds stuff worth? I'm very curious.
I don't know. I would imagine there's a hyper niche market within the baseball collectible space. I don't know if his memorabilia is downtrodden. I am not sure.
Like,
I would assume his rookie cards, though, are from that like very
mass-produced
era.
So does that kill like everyone from the 90s? Because Tim, wouldn't you agree that, just thinking about it logically, the most valuable baseball player from like our generation, essentially, so from like 1990 on, would have to be some sort of Ken Griffey Jr. card?
I was just about to say Ken Griffey Jr. would probably be the person, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I would assume that Derek Jeter, like high-end Bowman's Chrome rookies, are probably might outdo the Griffey one.
Okay.
But again, I actually own that popular Griffey Upper Deck rookie.
Yeah,
card.
I have that too. It's just like I have the Michael Jordan Upper Deck baseball card. Like, it's not worth anything.
Yeah, no, of course not. But even for its time, that Griffey card is still special. It's probably one of the. It's not worth anything like other vintage cards, but from that era, it's probably the most valuable baseball card that was printed between 91 and like 95.
Oh, yeah.
That Griffey rookie. Or 89. It would have been Upper Deck 89, the first ever card one.
Well, there's one with him and his dad. I remember that card.
Well,
I have it.
I remember seeing that card. Yeah, where I think his dad's kneeling and he's standing, if memory serves.
They made very cool, like visually appealing cards with like Montana or Dion and Gretzky. It was like a triple, like I guess it was the first time like motion photography was like happening.
Okay.
I don't know if card folks would know the cards I'm talking about.
Well, since we spoiled up what's coming next on what's the date on this one? The 23rd. What's the 23rd? Is that 2 days from now? It's Tuesday. It's 23rd Tuesday.
Yes.
So on Tuesday, there is a Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Dr. J 1980 basketball card coming out. So I guess we have a comp for this. The market cap is set at $27,500. $6,600 is being retained by the seller. You can buy into this one for $5 a share if you want to. 5,500 shares are outstanding on this one. And I guess the comp would be there was a 1980 Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Dr. J graded 10. I guess so. That's
a Gem Mint 10.
That's a Gem Mint 10 that was put up in October of last year at $352,000, and it sold January 28th for $720,000. So this one is a PSA 8, so it's not exactly the same quality, but you can see that there's still demand for this stuff.
Yeah, and I guarantee you the population report on this would be incredibly low as well. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. This is worth more than this is a safer investment than 98% of things going. And that is why Collectible is onto something and at the forefront of something in this fractional investment space when it comes to the sports collectible, because these are as safe as it gets to me.
So Tim, we're going to go through all of these by the end of the show, and we're going to take a vote, and I'm going to buy you shares of one of these, okay?
No, absolutely not. No. For the sake of the people, I'm not sure they don't have any sort of like, I don't want to hear from people talking about how my involvement with it caused it to be cursed in any way. So I will abstain.
They're all dead.
In all ways, I will abstain. But I think that card is really cool looking. The one with the three basket with the bird and Dr. J. and Magic. I think it's a really cool looking card. You don't see cards like that these days. At least I don't see them like that anymore.
So how about this? We'll see which one that you think you have the most enjoyment in, and then the one that you have the least amount of enjoyment in, and then I'll buy shares for myself in the one that you have the least amount of enjoyment in. How about that?
Death only makes a collectible worth more, I feel.
Well, Hank Aaron's,
So what's the
Aaron's
worst-
already dead. But was he going to come back?
But that's there's a two-edged
So
sword
that,
here.
that would
There's not
that
much
would be
Tim-
crazy.
what-
Tim Ander curses the Hank Aaron card, where Hank Aaron returns to the living.
Like, what's Tim gonna do to the estate of Hank Aaron? Or B, like, God forbid.
I don't think you want to know the answer to that.
God forbid.
Larry Bird and Magic Johnson and his
They're alive.
Like
But-
you have to worry about their lives.
Yes, but
a
if
bit.
you invest in the card, I'm only saying
That would
death-
only make it. So what you're saying is, that if Tim buys this card, Magic's going to live to be like 300,
Okay, that's what could happen then. Sure.
and then the card just continuously stays the same and has incremental value raised instead of just being super valuable all of a sudden. Tim, how's your bracket doing?
Not good. Not great, Bob. Not great.
Not great, Bob. Is anyone's
West-
doing well?
I'm
Well, I mean, I had West Virginia and I had Ohio State in my Final Four. Both are crashed out. So it's not looking too promising. I did like the Pac-12, and the Pac-12 keeps rolling. So I feel good about a couple of things. I think the people, if they listened to our show last week, will have learned a few things that they could have made some profitable plays on with Abilene Christian and with Ohio, and that's all Raza. That's not me. I'm just cracking wise here. He knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, I actually made, and so did Paul. We made a bunch of money like gambling on first round. Like my brackets are all. I'm in second. I went and checked. I'm actually in second in like the bracket pool that I'm in, but I have Illinois to win it all. So I think that unless there's like some real random winner that no.
Yeah, I mean,
one
I have
has.
Gonzaga,
Like if Baylor
but
wins,
everyone
I'm
has
screwed.
Gonzaga.
If Gonzaga wins, I'm screwed. I've lost 2 of my Final Four
Listen,
teams,
yeah.
so I need to be perfect the other way going through. Like I need Colorado to get to the Final Four.
I have
essentially.
Gonzaga, but at this point, it feels pretty shrewd the way other people's teams have gone.
Oh yeah, if you have
down.
Gonzaga, like you're sitting pretty right now.
Yeah, mine sucks, but
Gonzaga
I'm not
and
dead
Alabama.
yet. I'm not dead yet.
That's because I wanted to say that Alabama is now a basketball school. That's why I took Alabama in the Final Four too.
I picked Oregon just because I thought Justin Herbert would be at home, like enjoying the game. So
They-
I'm
they
like,
got a
Which somebody
free win.
did not. Which I saw you get. Somebody said, Jeff, that was real strange of you.
yeah, which I didn't take well to that because anyone that knows me, Pat, would know like in past bowl games or tournament games back in the day, like USC for junior or at TCU for Ladanian and all those big bowl games they played post him being at the school, or anytime NC State was playing and I was like going to be at home, like making a wager on an NC State game, I never bet against them. Always
Well, I
thinking,
didn't know if you were even
always
gonna-
thinking Phillips at home watching this game. I'm going to watch it too.
I didn't know if you were going to watch, since the last time I saw a bracket come out, you were not in it for the top Chargers fans. On Twitter, you were left out. You were the Louisville of the bracket.
Can I say, I don't know how Tim does what he does, like engaging in this low rent form of his team fandom.
What?
Because I can't stand like any of these guys that do like their own. I don't want to knock anybody. Shit.
Jeff, we're going to give you a Chargers show come football season where you can be the crazy person who rants about the Chargers. Then you're just going to be
but
the people
these
that you
guys-
hate.
No, but these guys, like, they think they know the GM. I know.
But
I
you
don't-
do.
No,
You just DM with them.
no. I
he
know
DM'd
I
the
don't know
owner's
them.
son.
I know I don't know anything. These guys just talking these weird absolutes about player. Like, I don't know. And then there's these internal, like, one Chargers podcast hates the guys in the other Chargers podcast.
That's awesome.
Like, I can't stand the absolutes. So there's no way they're getting rid of Hunter Henry. Like those types of absolutes.
You want to know something? I don't want to get into this now, but I'm thoroughly shocked about that.
I know.
I should have seen the writing on the wall there a lot before the franchise tag because of how we operate. That never should have gone to that late in the game, Tim. But I quit. You say if I'm the 65th best Charger fan on Twitter, I'm curious if any of those 64 people in front of me can name me an instance where the Chargers drafted a player as high as the second round or within the top like 4 rounds who showed the type of high-end play despite setbacks, who didn't get contract number 2 for the Chargers. I could name you a bunch of losers that we gave contract 2 for, that showed medial life. So he's the only player in my memory bank that we drafted that high who we did not want to continue the relationship with. And in closing, when I saw the final numbers and the numbers the Chargers had available to them, they clearly made an organizational decision. I don't know whether it's part of the new coach and how he wants to run things, that was not something they were going to value. I'm upset because I think Hunter Henry hasn't even played his best football in the National Football League.
Because he barely plays.
And you want to pay guys.
Doesn't.
You want to pay guys for what they're going to do, not what they've done, which is what makes free agency dangerous. But I think Hunter Henry.
In that case, Derwin James should get
I
$500
think Hunter.
million.
I think Hunter
You can't pay
Henry.
him for what he's done.
I
You pay him
think.
what you think he might do.
I think Hunter. Well, I just mean you don't want to like guys going for contract 3.
Yeah,
It's a dangerous
but here's the
game.
thing. Maybe
Hunter
they
Henry's
assessed the
production is
situation.
replaceable.
Maybe they looked at the situation and said, "Oh, we can pay Hunter Henry, or we can go get All-Pro Jared Cook."
I don't want. I used my bullet like I had a chamber, Pat. Like I had a bullet in the chamber that was so important that I fired it this offseason to ensure Coach was fired. I used
You used all your capital
No,
to get Anthony Lynn fired?
Yes, I wanted so badly to go back in and beg to stay away from Jared Cook, but I knew that would be unbecoming of me, and that was me.
Well, that's probably why you got left out of the top Chargers fan bracket. You didn't do what was best for the team.
I was overstepping my
You
boundaries.
did beg for them not to sign Tom Brady, who won the Super Bowl.
You're right. I don't think he would have won the Super Bowl with a coach that couldn't tell time. Brady had one moment where he didn't know what down it was. That's like every moment of every day in Charger land. And I will say, God willing, we can win our Super Bowl. And that turns out to be this really fun, like back channel moment of remember when, and we both won Super Bowls with Tampa and the Chargers. I'll own that. You could freezing cold takes me on the Bucks. But even when I bashed them from go, I was like, it's set up for something perfect for them. With the extra playoff spot, they could just lollygag through it, and they're going to play their best football late. And even when we saw that happening, I was like, the Bucks are scaring me. I'm not betting it, but they're that team that's really talented that hasn't played its best football. I'm upset about the Jared Cook thing. It really put a damper on an exciting free agent period for me. I went from...
You're going to be such a fan.
In
week 1, he's going to have 8 catches for 200
Win me
yards
over.
and 3 touchdowns. Then he won't do anything the rest of the
Do
year.
you know what I'm going to do week 1, that doubleheader Monday Nighter that I'm sure we'll be playing in? I'll bet Jared
I don't
Cook
think
to
so.
score
I think
first touchdown.
I think you're getting the opener. Oh no, not the opener. You're getting the Sunday night opener at Arrowhead. That's what you're getting. You kidding me? Mahomes,
That's not
Herbert,
fair.
prime time. That's 100% what they want to do.
At least I don't have to
You're getting
drop
the
a
opening
banner.
Sunday night game.
I don't want to
You're getting
be
no.
at
No,
Arrowhead.
they'll drop, as Tim would always say, they'll drop the AFC Championship banner.
No,
I don't
Tim would love that.
I don't think they'll do that in Kansas City.
But no, I think Chiefs Chargers. You're getting that opening Sunday night.
So
That's
yeah,
where-
I'm really upset about. He's such a next man to me. I love tight ends. I don't want to be here like Tim because my level was like 2, and I never want to ever do this. But like I played tight end. I just like tight ends. Alfred
But
Papuno.
I say
Alfred
I played center
Papuno.
and tackle football.
I'm not using it as a comparison to how good or skill that's. I'm not saying like I know what
You know
I'm
the
doing
position.
out there.
No, I understand.
No,
I
it's
agree
just
with you. You
a
know the
position
position.
I have
You
an
played it.
affinity for. Even more loser comment. I incorporate the tight ends, Pat, into my Madden schemes.
So do I.
Well,
With
that's
Gates,
that's what
with
NFL
Hunter
teams
Henry,
are doing right now.
But I don't want to incorporate Jared Cook. I don't want to
Too bad.
throw him the ball.
Well, you have
Now
Parham. so
I
relax.
gotta draft a guy. That's my problem. I need a 2nd or 3rd round pick now at tight end. I do not like my tight end depth chart.
Cody on Twitter asked if TC wants to buy shares of his Batman Forever glasses, and he posted a picture of his Batman Forever glasses that he has at his house. You want to buy fractional shares, Tim?
No, but you guard those with your life, son.
Yeah, don't
'Cause
leave
they can
them.
be taken away from you
Don't
in a
leave 'em at
flash,
your
and you never
dad's
know what's
house.
coming.
Yeah. Is there anything else like the? I watched a lot of the tournament on Friday, and then I tuned in because I was like, I had a super like upset parlay just for kicks that had Abilene Christian in Ohio on it, but it also had who was the team? Oh, Utah State. It was Utah State and Texas Tech, and I tuned in. Utah State was like killing them, and I tuned in.
Yeah.
I pulled a full Cust. Texas Tech went on like a 19-0 run. I forgot how maddening it is to watch college basketball because I hadn't done it yet this year. It's like, oh yeah, these guys
neither.
fucking suck.
Yeah, I hadn't done it this
Well,
year.
but
Hadn't done it
it's not
probably
close.
since before the tournament last year because I don't think I watched it last year, Pat. But it did remind me.
There was no
Yeah,
tournament
that's what I
last
mean.
year.
So I didn't watch regular season college ball last year. So what I'm saying is, last college ball I would have watched was when Virginia won, it's funny. It takes like a day into the tournament or 3 hours
Feels like you have money on a game right now because you keep checking the score.
to realize that it's like there's some of these games are like all these athletes versus like a Jewish summer league camp team. But the Jewish summer league camp team holds their own in these things sometimes. It's pretty weird.
Especially this year. Maybe it's.
There's a team that played Kansas. I swear to God.
I bet on them.
Eastern
They lost.
Washington.
Yeah,
They covered.
I swear to God, I went to summer camp with two brothers that looked just like that and played very good basketball.
Good fundamentals.
Just, I don't know. Obviously, that is the truth, but I'm not. Obviously, they weren't nearly as good at basketball. But
There were
them
some
and
good
their
games yesterday.
afros
I
and
thought
their
the-
beards. And then
The
today,
UCLA BYU game was fun. Last night, the Abilene Christian and Texas game last night was fun. There was the end of the UVA game was good too. Virginia got tight down the stretch. I have watched, as I always do, a lot of this tournament, and even though it has lost a little bit of its ambiance because there aren't the crowds really, there has been some really compelling play, and I'm just happy to have it. Even if it's not quite 100% of what it usually is, it's still better than what was a snoozer golf tournament this weekend. So it's not like I missed anything.
I'll watch bad golf. I'll watch bad basketball. I get it. I'm part of the people that like acknowledges or even says some of this basketball is like bad quality, but I got no problem. It's not even about the quality. It's about the kids and the faces.
In a
and,
couple of
and
months,
the coaches'
we're gonna be watching
wives like
guys-
freaking out.
We're going
It's
to
all
watch
good
guys in a
times.
couple of months throw javelins.
And then
you will.
jump. The world will. We'll be
Tim,
watching things
how far did you say you could throw a javelin again?
I think I could throw it like 10, 15, 20 meters.
That is a huge back off from your initial assessment of how far you could throw
it's
it.
the most cursed game as ever. Two more like executives got canned.
It's
Game's
a
in
tough
big
Olympics.
trouble. Game's in big trouble. But also
They're happening, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah,
At
but
this
they're not
point, I think
welcoming
it's
anybody
too late in the game to cancel it.
There's no
Well,
fans.
It's only people who live in Japan, I think, for the most part, who will be allowed to attend as spectators. But yeah, the games are going to go on. They don't want to deny these kids who've been working their whole lives and Olympics if they can possibly get around. If every other sporting event in the world, other than they can figure it out, the Olympics can figure it out.
So, two things. One, do you think that the lack of fans in these places has contributed to all these like huge upsets, or do you think it was like bad seating?
Bad seating. Usually the fans, as if you remember when we were there in person, the fans will usually get behind the underdog because three-quarters of the
not?
people
Yeah.
in the stadium are cheering for teams that will be playing another game and therefore will get that underdog in the next round, right? So they get fired up to see that 15 seed knock off a 2. And the crowd, if you're just there as a neutral observer, you'll want to see the upset. So, I mean, I don't think that the lack of crowds has been helping the underdogs. I think in a case like Loyola Chicago, there's bad seeding. Or, I mean, I can't speak whether Oral Roberts was poorly seated or not, but clearly the committee did look at the numbers. I mean, Ben could figure it out in 10 seconds that the committee had done a bad job. And, you know, so it's obvious, right, that the seeding was done poorly and there was advantages to be taken.
but no
But it's still a
fans.
fun tournament. It's still fun. There's still tons of upsets and exciting shots. And so I'm having fun.
No fans. I think through all sports, though, I would argue, based on the teams that won some of the championships, be it the Dodgers or I want to say the Lakers, or in hockey, the Lightning, those were all like
Well, the Lightning are used to playing in front of 0 fans. So.
Sure, but those were all like the 1 seeds.
Sure, and even in golf, when we look back at the golf, it was all like the who's who.
DJ, I guess Morikawa was a bit of a.
But he's a thing now.
But that's a fun argument
Bryson
that we
and
will.
Morikawa had never won majors, and they won majors without crowds. Would that crowd noise have affected?
Not
Bryson and
Bryson,
Morikawa?
but Morikawa was a fun. Morikawa was only a fun convo point because he's never won with a crowd.
Yeah, he won at Barracuda. Or the Barbasol, whatever it was.
Sorry.
But
yes.
that's not a major.
No, it's not a major.
No,
but to say that he's never won in front of a crowd, he has won a PGA
Yes,
event.
thank you
in front
for
of a crowd.
correcting me. But he's this incredible run to superstardom, and he's so calm and even keeled with the crowds of like. There's not a win you could take away from him. I'm just saying
He's
in
our
golf,
cash cow. Leave him alone.
No, I'm saying in golf, he's the one like guy that dominated this no crowd time. Well, in the most part, other players that had won plenty in the past. So you just knew they were winners.
Yeah, now, was it a product of no fans and that led to like little, like the intangible things like crowd pressure getting to you
you're
coming
not
down the
wondering
stretch
how
in golf, or is it just all of the good players played all the time because they had nothing else to do?
You're not wondering how
Well, it also
DJ
changes your
will
sightlines,
act
too.
with fans. I'm also, listen, this is a totally fair point, and we'll talk about this when we get to August and September. Everybody, that was like a dress rehearsal. Justin Herbert, like in a loss, went to the Superdome and lit it up. Put on a show for Monday Night Statistical Ages. Would he do that in a? No, I said that off the top. They didn't win the game. But my point being is like, if that's a screaming hornet's nest, maybe he starts the game 5 of 12 with a pick. Like, I don't know. I'm happy he succeeded in the dress rehearsal. But every rookie, like the good ones, the bad ones.
Do you think that's
there's
going
noise on
is that going to
third down.
benefit Tua because he's used to rowdy places, ruckus places? Although I guess in Miami, no one's
Oregon
gonna
is
show up.
pretty. Listen, Oregon's got some of the craziest fans ever. But we acknowledge through football season, like part of Aaron Rodgers' dominance to the MVP was how, like home road, he did whatever he wanted. He was so smart. In combination with a great center, making some great calls at the line of
You're
scrimmage.
starting to sound like Tim now.
I'm just putting air in that tire.
I'm
totally
excited for that.
dominant.
Who impressed you, NCAA March Madness wise, Tim, this weekend that you watched? You were like, oh shit, like they're good.
Loyola Chicago.
Like-
They absolutely played defense to just unravel Illinois. I was shocked by that. Like, I thought they were good. I had no idea that they were that good. They played like a 2 seed.
Did you see listen,
Sister Jean?
Yeah.
Jean,
That's Tim's wife.
you met her at Aquafit?
Yeah.
I'm
scouting
hesitant
report?
to say anything about Sister Jean.
Her
She's
scouting.
101 years old,
Say it.
and
She's
I think
hot.
she's great.
Okay.
I think she's a great mascot for the team. I think she's a wonderful, like, guiding presence. And, like, now that, I want Gonzaga to win, but Loyola Chicago otherwise has got my full support because that would be a great story. They made the Final Four a couple of years ago. People seem to want to forget that, which is why they were seeded so poorly. Happened to Butler, too. Butler went to the championship game. Then the next year they got seeded as an 8 seed and went back to the championship
You
game.
better hope she
Some of
makes it.
these schools don't get the recognition they deserve because they've got to give the Big Ten 15 spots, and they don't give the.
If they had given the Big Ten 48 spots, would they have like won a game?
Well,
I guess Illinois won a game.
and
Iowa,
Michigan won a game, and
Purdue
Rutgers won a
lost.
game.
Oh, Rutgers.
Wisconsin crushed UNC.
Yeah. Loyola. That is my favorite thing about the tournament. Is watching that game, and there's a guy that looks like he's going to be playing at the Hoop Dome at 45, is crushing this number 1 seed Illinois, like in the post.
Remember that guy
with the
Comer
dribble.
from
I couldn't
Florida
even tell
Dunk
you.
Coast?
I couldn't even tell you his
Florida.
name.
Oh, Dunk City?
Yeah, I remember the guy named Comer on that team. Like you never knew who he was, except that he just kept dropping the anvil, constantly. Like he just kept dunking, which that's what's so great about college ball is that you have a chance to win a championship. And in every other sport, it's just not really possible for a small, little, tiny institution outside of like Leicester City. And that was why it was such a huge deal when Leicester City won. It's like, it's impossible. But in college basketball, like there's a real path there. win 6 games and you get it. So that's what makes it so cool.
All right, next card. Or next piece of memorabilia at Collectible, the app. Again, use code FTM when you sign up to go buy some shares of potentially, Tim, how about this? A PSA 9 graded 1960 Willie Mays card.
Yeah.
Look at that.
They don't make them like they used to.
The market cap is $18,250. You can buy a share of these for $2 a pop if you want to. Tim, that's in your budget.
Willie Mays, I mean, like, look how beautiful that card is.
Yeah.
Like, I'll take a card that looks like that over when Jeff brought in all those Herbert cards that look like weird and like shimmering and like has this and that
Disco.
and the
You
other.
didn't like the discos.
I despised that silver one with all the sparkles on it. That there is a baseball card. That's something that's a sharp looking card.
Yeah, so you can buy into that for $2 a share. That's going to be the opening IPO price. That drops on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, there's a 1957 Frank Robinson graded PSA 9 card as well. Tim, that should be pretty close to you. Les Expo, your boy, Frank Robinson.
I remember Frank Robinson standing in the dugout at the Big O when everyone in the world was down on the Expos, and they kept trading guys away in that 2002 season. He just kept getting that team to win games. It was that was the greatest baseball season of my life, was that 2002 year. The Expos didn't make the playoffs.
Morency was
and
doing
really,
post game.
Yeah, Morency was the post-game guy.
The greatest season ever.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
It was the greatest year ever for those of us who, I stopped having a baseball team after 2004. So it was a really exciting year. The Expos almost made the playoffs, and they made that big trade to get Hideki Arabu. Was a big deal.
Yeah, but was that
in 2000?
Was that the year they traded for Bartolo?
Bartolo Colon was also a big
and Cliff Lee.
That gave away Grady Sizemore and all kinds of stuff.
There was and Michael Brantley was the other one in that deal, I think.
And Michael Brantley, but they were trying to make the playoffs for the first time since 1981. So, I got it, but it was tough. But yeah, I have very fond memories of Felipe Alou and Frank Robinson being my manager.
Did you have fond memories of Moises Alou peeing on his hands instead of wearing batting gloves?
My grandmother despised him because she thought it was so filthy that he did that.
It was pretty freaking
It was
gross.
also his fault that Bartman got all in the trouble that he did. Because it's Alou who throws his glove down and starts screaming.
Okay, you're right.
If
you're
Alou
right.
doesn't cause
I
a problem,
mean, it's
in
also
left field-
Bartman's fault.
Yeah, but if Alou doesn't react, that is just a foul ball that no one ever talks about.
Yeah, I don't know how you're. Yeah.
My favorite collectible is coming next. You ready for this?
Oh, I love this.
WrestleMania is coming up, and what you could, starting on Friday, you can own a game-worn Andre the Giant Jock strap. Game used. Market cap is $29K. You can buy in for $10 a share. Wow. I might try to get. I feel like this is going to be worth something. Lot.
This is something. I was wondering when I saw the thumbnail to the show what exactly I was looking at. I thought I was confused. This is incredible. I would definitely be in on this.
Did you know that when
I don't know if
Tim doesn't drink all that much, but when he drinks a bit too much, he starts to sound like Andre the Giant. He's like, Tim, that's not my name. It's like if you slow this down to 0.25 speed and listen to Tim talk, that's how he talks when he's drunk.
Look, I don't need to drink to be a master at impersonations. I already am.
Well, let's hear your Andre the Giant then.
Oh, hello there, everybody. My name is Andre Le Giant. Remember me from Princess Brides.
Andre Le Giant? Is that what you said? Le Giant.
I am from France.
Well, from
France. That's pretty good.
Did you watch the Andre documentary?
Yeah, it was great.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was very good. There's a great little bit with him in the Ric Flair documentary, too, if memory serves.
The Flair one was all over the place.
The 30 for 30.
Well, it was both interesting and funny and then incredibly sad and then hopeful at the end.
It was really sad. My wife cried.
Well, I mean, Nature Boy went through a lot. So much of it is of his own doing, but also not always of his own doing.
Okay, true story. I saw Andre the Giant in a hotel bar once. This would have been like 91. My dad did not let me approach him.
He was too big.
He was just I guess I guess you didn't just interfere with Andre at the bar, at a hotel lobby or not. I think there was quite a few already down there.
Well, that was like when I think it was when
Which is regrettable. That'd been great.
Yeah, to go meet him.
Oh.
My grandfather was a pilot, so
Daddy's a pilot.
he's not anymore. Too old. Bit too old to be flying them commercial planes these days. But he, back probably in like the early 90s when the WWF came to our city, he was the pilot on the plane that flew them in. Because back then they didn't, I assume they fly private now, but they were just flying commercial then. Yeah. So he got like everyone's autograph. He said The Undertaker, a very tall man.
Yeah.
Was Paul Bearer there? I knew a good Paul Bearer too.
I mean,
Why are you laughing, Jeff? Oh!
That sounds more like Mickey Mouse.
Oh!
Oh, Paul Bearer! Oh. No, you have to be more drawn out with Paul Bearer. And it goes from like down to up. You should go as Paul Bearer every Halloween.
I was thinking about going as Fat Elvis for Halloween.
That'd be good too. What are your
I'd be good at Elvis.
Yeah, it sounds like you're Richard Nixon.
Which is also very good. I lived in Yorba Linda for a while, till the media got after me.
I think it was actually the year that we went to March Madness, and the fourth guy that we went with, didn't he say he saw Ric Flair in the Charlotte airport? And
He did. And
Ric Flair was just
there for a woo.
And Ric Flair was giving out woos in the Charlotte airport.
He was in the back of one of those little buggies.
Just getting driven
to the airport.
Yeah, he was getting driven around in a buggy wearing a tank top. Just Ric Flair.
He was like,
and our friend who's like 6'6", just said, "Hey, Ric Flair, woo!" And he gave a woo as he drove by.
That
was 10 years ago this March.
He did a meet and greet for the Hamilton Tiger Cats the last season. So
I feel like you could buy fractional shares of Ric Flair's availability for things.
He's totally, as I guess they all should be, because I'm sure they got ripped off plenty. They're all pay for play, big time.
Oh, especially like autograph, that must have hurt like the sad Virgils of the world that they can't go to these wrestling conventions to sign the autographs during the pandemic.
Yeah, that definitely. Although in the certain places where those are popular, I think they still had them.
There's fine, like IRS could show up. Mike Rotundo.
No, I just mean like
pay your taxes, Tim Andercust.
I would assume even through
I
COVID.
liked Mean Gene. I would have liked to get Mean Gene's autograph.
SEC
I was a big fan of him.
That was your big thing.
I have a picture.
You could meet like any vintage person from WWF, and it was Gene Mean. You wanted to meet?
I have a picture with Mean Gene.
No, it would be number one. Would definitely be Hulk Hogan. Number one would definitely.
I loved Bret Hart growing up, but I feel like if I met him now, he's real crotchety. Seems like a crotchety individual.
Buddy,
he seems sour.
Sorry. The word on Bret, even when things were running the most pure for him, he was always a sourpuss. Like, he was always a bit of a rough around the edges, never too warm kind of guy.
Well, I do remember Bret Hart at WrestleMania 2 in the Battle Royal with Andre the Giant. Yeah. And like him and Neidhart both jumped on Andre the Giant. I wonder if the jock strap is from then. I feel like I want to get in on this. Buy a whole bunch of shares. Give me an Andre jock.
Let's see, now you asked which one I'm least interested in. I would say this is probably the one I was least interested in.
This is the one we got to invest
I think this is the one we got to pool our money to go get. I didn't realize wrestlers wore jock straps. Or was his cock so large that he just needed it? Or else
it was just the olden days.
I want to make a comment, but I don't want to create post-production.
Well, there is no post-production. We are live.
So I'm not going to say it.
Okay.
Yeah. He probably...
Of great... It was 25... Is it 25 years since WrestleMania 10? It was like the other day. Which I think is the best WrestleMania of all time. At least in my child's mind. It sticks out to me. I was 10.
I remember my parents went to go see WrestleMania 1 at the Forum in Halifax on a big screen.
Oh,
that was a thing.
Circuit. That's amazing.
That was a thing. Like you went to hockey arenas and they sold out and you could watch it on TV because this was like the 80s. Yeah. And it's like you couldn't just buy pay-per-view in a lot of houses. You need to go somewhere where
pay-per-view didn't
exist
exist yet. Your house.
So
it was all closed circuit.
I've heard these stories of people going to big sporting arenas and like watching on the big screen, like WrestleMania.
I think number 3 was the first pay-per-view where like you could get pay-per-view in your house with the Mania 3, Andre Hogan, the most famous
Pontiac Silverdome.
one. I think that was the first one. And then I guess Mania 4 was the tournament where he got like DQ'd.
Trump's tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the $1 Million Man basically like paid for his spot.
Yeah. And then in 5, he took on Jake the Snake.
No, that was 6, wasn't it?
No, Snick 6. He was like
He was a manager.
He was already not.
Yeah, at Skydome. He
No.
had the braces.
Sorry, that was 7. He was the manager in the braces. 6. It was a mixed tag with
Well, you were
Haku.
there. You should
Yeah,
know.
it was a tag match with Haku. I recently actually watched a podcast that did a watch along with it. It's I don't know.
I would listen. I would probably do
I
that.
was there, and it's like a fond memory of my childhood. So like just rewatching and reliving it, and like just it was funny. Andre could barely stand. He was like hunched over the ropes. He does like 1 minute in the ring, and that's when him and Heenan got in a fight, and Heenan slapped him.
Oh, that's when he turned face?
Yeah, turned face for a bit to be a kind of a manager, and then at 7 he was a manager, and I think he died before 8. He shouldn't even have been trotted out at 7. He was not in good shape on those walkers, but those guys like going through the curtain, I guess.
I feel like the Ultimate Warrior pop at WrestleMania 6 when he ran out was probably the biggest pop ever.
I wasn't in the Skydome when Joe Carter hit the home run, but I was in the Skydome when Warrior came out, and I was probably sleeping, and I woke up.
You must have been what,
all the
7
mugs.
years old?
Yeah, like 6 or 7.
Some of the mugs, all the mugs.
Are you looking at that picture of the mug? Are you jealous of this
I'm
guy's
sorry,
complete
I thought I was
set?
on mute. I'm sorry, I was on mute. I apologize.
I like that people.
People want to help out Tim.
McDonald's is great. They always had the most random.
What if I could get you
things.
some Batman Forever Pogs, Tim?
No, I bet you I have some of them.
I actually still do have some. How come Pogs
I
aren't
have
worth
a
shit?
I have a
I have
valise somewhere
those.
with pogs in it.
All right,
I don't know what.
I gotta wait for some of these golf collectibles to come out. Tim kind of hit the nail on the head that like golf was so anticlimactic. The move was the in-play betting though, because people grabbed Matt Jones like halfway through his first round. But I made a killing today. Seifert ended up coming third. Steele ended up coming third. Just in play, 200 to 1, 300 to 1. I grabbed Steele this morning at 750 to 1 with the top 3 each way. I got a split on the top 3, but still paid pretty nicely. Like random jabronis were at the top of that leaderboard this week.
Well,
Here's-
how can you blame them, right? You have the players. You're sandwiched between Sawgrass and the WGC, so that's going to happen. And players don't like playing this course to begin with, right? So
I'm happy people must have like misconstrued my advice when they were showing me their first round Matthew Jones bets and saying that's what I was talking about. Because I wasn't talking about like betting guys live on Thursday.
No, neither was I. I was waiting
But
till
they hit. I don't care whether you got it at 50, 40, 33. Whatever. Yeah. What a boring.
it was the least amount of golf I've watched since the year began.
I was actually said this to myself because, I love this event and I attend it practically every other year. And hopefully the situations are fine where we can go back, do another DFS Open, yada, yada, yada.
Oh, by the way, the Listeners League link for this week, where there is no rake for the match play, is available in this show if you hit the description right now. I already have my research show out, and you and I are going to do a show tomorrow, but the reason that we're doing this now is because they're not releasing the brackets, and it's going to be like an hour and a half long show at 11 a.m. that by the time the odds come out, like we're probably not even going to film till like 3. So the show is just going to come out later than it normally does. And there's no DraftKings show this week because the tournament starts on Wednesday. I like this tournament and everything, but it's not great from a content perspective.
No, but I enjoy it. It's fun for betting those first few days too.
Also, like between this week, match play, and then like Valero will throw some action in on, like, then it's the Masters. Like, it's a nice, like, little 3 lesser weeks before we get to the Masters. Is kind of nice.
Yeah, of course.
So I feel like we can take it easy here for a few weeks before, like, really hammering home.
yeah, it's a chance for you guys to catch your breath. I mean, that's what the golf season provides you. I mean, I like match play. I wish there was a lot more match play throughout the season. So I prefer the Sundays. I like watching just that one match and that
it's
one
so
third
bad.
place match.
It's so
To me,
bad.
but that's golf in its truest form.
But it's not.
right?
It is
that
insufferable
harkens back
TV.
to the tradition of the sport, or how it used to be played, and it's man on man, man v man. I like it a lot, and I wish that we saw it more often. But insofar as when we get to see it at the the President's Cup, the Ryder Cup, and this, I sort of relish it when the opportunity comes around.
There's a huge difference between the match play at the Ryder and President's Cup versus this, because all the guys are playing singles matchup on the course at the same time. Like, I would say that the best part of match play are the first 2 days of the match play tournament when everyone's on the course at the same time. It's
agree.
great. Now I can flick around to this group and what's going on here. It's not. I tried to watch golf today, and I tuned in. And I was watching it a bit in the morning because like Steele was making a move and Seifert was making a move. I was like, all right, here we go. This isn't bad. Things could work out for me. I was like, maybe Neiman can shoot 8 under. Why not? And get into it. Maybe Jones collapses. Who knows? So that was fun. Then I watched the actual main broadcast for 2 holes. And then JB Holmes spent 20 minutes looking for a ball on the second hole that he lost, and then another 10 minutes fighting with rules officials. I'm glad Matt Jones was able to persevere through playing with JB Holmes today. Like, remember how pissed off Brooks was at the British Open playing with JB Holmes? He's like, fuck this. I don't care what I shoot today.
Yeah.
Just get me off this course. And even Paul, what were you saying? Like you were watching with your mom at the very end?
JB Holmes approaches the 18th hole. He's +9 on the day.
Yeah.
He's already played himself out of the tournament. There's not big money on the line at this point. And he took like a minute, like lining up the chip out of the bunker and then like stepping back, like, you know, testing the wind a bit, stepping back up to it. And then he hits it over the green to the other side. And it's just like, get this guy off of my TV. Like, he's already played himself out. He's just being like cheap at this point.
Yeah, and
like,
poor Matt Jones.
What I say though,
like, what's he fighting
think
for? An
that-
extra $500 on those shots? Like, let Matt
it's the
Jones have
tour
his
who's
moment, you
responsible.
bum.
it's the tour that's at fault here. They're allowing this to go on. They're the culpable parties here. They could put a stop to this anytime they wanted. They allow it to go on.
Well, the players
They
are
sanction it.
the players are at fault too, because Matt Jones could say he wants him on the clock, and I mean,
Yeah,
Wouldn't
but
that
that's not
also
Matt
put
Jones's job.
And Matt Jones,
There's a rules official walking with every group. Like, make the call.
he's a
him on the clock.
remarkable player to watch because
he's like Snedeker, just
But-
walks up to the ball and hits
you,
it.
You still think, based on watching other guys, there's like another like 12 seconds of waggle. It's like, whoa, he's like full release and gone. And the commentary, I mean, they made mention, he really did sort of change his approach. Like, he was playing with JB and he kind of took some time. There wasn't a lot of places to go, though, as much as you would think. Like, I was tracking the pace of the group in front of them, and they were often waiting in the fairway. The people that complain about JB, as you would with anyone you play with, whether it be real life or these guys.
I remember when you complained when he played with Norin that time.
Yeah, so that's annoying, but they get real frustrated when he literally does nothing until it's his turn to hit. Like, I know that's
He
more
won't even
like
put his golfing glove
an
on.
amateur thing. Like, I get real mad at one of my buddies. Like, what do you,
We're not even playing for
I
money.
believe in-
like
we,
just
we play quick.
We do
are
play
quick
quick.
yeah,
golfers.
you always
aren't we?
want to play quick. Yeah, fun. Like, obviously, like, it's good times, but come on, like, you need to
If you take
start
more than
your
2
routine.
practice swings, I start to get a little bit
You don't
agitated.
need to start your routine when
When you're up now.
yeah, like, you can, if you've got a routine, get into your routine.
Well, I saw Matt Jones did that a few times. He was like, "Yeah, you're up, JB." Like, I think it was Matt Jones who shot. He's like, "No, you go first. Like, let's get this over with, so I can just step up and
Yeah.
hit it." So I'm not just I'm not pulling a Matt Kuchar sitting in the middle of the fairway eating a sandwich. But him being out last actually does help. It'd be a whole lot worse if he was like the third to last group out, because then it fucks up like everyone else.
Well, but
behind them.
then the tour has more reason to say, get going or we're deducting strokes.
Well, when did the tournament actually end? Because it ended well past like the window it was supposed to be on, didn't it?
It's like
I suspect- I'd
quarter
be
after
lying.
6.
Yeah, so it went 15 minutes long. That's not too bad. Although Matt Jones is up by 5, like just 2 putt and let's get out of here kind of thing. It wasn't even close either. Like Wise had his he triple bogeyed 10 and that was the end of him after making it a nice run. But he was up by halfway through round 3. He was up by 6 strokes on Matt Jones.
I had to flick over early because Phil got hot out of the gates. And I thought, Phil might run off like a -7 here, and who knows? This is a crazy track where everyone could blow up, but then he couldn't quite nail it down. But Phil is fighting to get to Torrey Pines, so he's going to be taking these opportunities seriously.
Is Phil live at the Masters? Because he's not playing bad golf.
Is he not in Torrey Pines?
No, I don't believe so.
No,
They're
he
not
only
going to make an
made-
exemption for him
I don't think he'll accept the exemption.
in San
No,
Diego.
he only got in. He only got into Wingfoot because he won a qualifier, if memory serves.
Can he say that
something.
he didn't show up to one because his daughter was graduating?
Yeah, the one he would have won. He's like, that's my exemption right there. I would have won.
Would have came in.
This
Phil's too proud to do that. You won't take the exemption, I don't think.
You need to advocate on his behalf, Tim.
I'm pretty
No,
confident
listen,
he
Phil
would take
doesn't-
the exception. He would take it. What do you mean he wouldn't take it?
I don't think
He
he
said
would.
he wasn't going to take it at Wingfoot
Oh, I didn't know that he said
publicly
he
said, "I
wasn't
will not
going to
take it."
take it.
unless I earn my way in at Wingfoot. I'm
Good
not
for
coming,
him.
he said.
Props to Phil. Good for you, buddy.
He'll just go
So
play
what?
the seniors tour.
It's what, between Phil and
make-
Spieth for the last Ryder Cup spot?
I guess so.
I'm joking.
But yes, Phil
Spieth
is
could be
live at the
Ma-
Masters.
Okay.
No, that's
Can
what I was thinking about. Like, Spieth is kind of. I mean,
Spieth
Ricky's
is
not in,
gonna
but
get-
but Spieth is kind of perfect because he's out of the bottom bracket too. Because so many people withdrew, he's now at the bottom of the third bracket. But it's a perfect course because he can go make a quadruple bogey. It doesn't really matter.
There's going to be some insanely tough groups and some laughable groups. I was looking at the seeds. The world rankings are always a little iffy. And some guys are going to, like, I don't want to see that Tim's, how do I put this? Tim's going to not be worried about this, but knowing Spieth's luck, he's going to draw, like, the Westwood, like, power group.
Yeah, where
'cause
Westwood's the one
so
seed.
high in, like, the world rankings now that he's going to be a captain. Like, respect to Westwood, and he's playing, and he ran through Florida, which he's always
Except for this
played
week.
well. Yeah, we kind of thought he would.
Well, now I want Westwood to be a captain's pick just so that I can say I was right.
captain's pick. He just
He might just play himself onto the
That's
team.
second place at
Which
the
is
players.
what I said weeks ago and was
At
laughed
this
at
point,
visibly.
at this point,
No,
he's got to
I
play himself
was-
off it. No,
I-
we didn't laugh at you that he would make the team. We laughed at the fact that he's actually really bad for the team at that location.
But only
I
the
think.
top 6 in points get on the team.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right,
Because
so
the Europeans
Europeans have 6 wildcard picks. Yeah. The only top 6 get in on points, and the captain gets 6 picks. If memory serves.
Well, I mean, we need. I guess Justin Harding doesn't qualify. He won over in Kenya. He won the magical Kenya this week.
It's a fun little thing. Watched it.
Was it good? I didn't see any.
They're
of it.
playing the same course next week. I wonder what that.
I know.
will be.
I believe Sky and Tom are shooting the show tonight for because I think it starts on Tuesday.
Is it the exact same field?
Basically, yeah.
So maybe, like, could we get
Guido again.
at
We're going
over-
Guido again.
So you got a real good Guido number. It was like by game
33.
time,
Yeah,
it was like down
20.
like 20.
Well,
I didn't
he
bet
won
it.
there the year before.
I know, but I didn't want to bet it at 20, and I was really worried I'd have FOMO. So I was kind of cheering. Not
You're cheering against my bets?
No, it was.
I don't need that. I don't need you rooting against them. They
cheering
lose on
against,
their
not cheering
own.
against. I had a guy in this.
Would you like
one.
me to root against your
I had a
bets?
guy
Yes.
that was 2 shots off the lead after the third round and shot. Was like when
Was
I
it
woke.
Nordhammer or
It
whatever
was
his
like Vermeer. He's like some young American kid. Some real.
Oh,
tall-
Johannes Vermin?
But his flag was American. He's American.
I guess so. He sounds Dutch. Maybe it's a Dutch flag and you were just looking at
I
it
like talking to
incorrectly.
Tom and Scott. They know so many. There's enough American kids. It's hard for me to keep up with the European ones who all have this.
Rithammer is the guy I'm thinking of.
They all like, a lot of them are just these baby faced looking kids. They're hard to put names to.
I was watching the third round with Phil was playing with a Panimal. Does Pan always wear aviators or did he do that especially because he
don't
was
know.
playing with Phil?
But the
'Cause they
bro-
both were rocking the aviators.
Faraday and Azinger must mistake Pan for like an incredible golfer. Because there was a 17-foot putt that Azinger, one of them said they think that he should make this. And then he had a bunker shot where like, this is no problem. He's looking to hole it. And it was really hard and he didn't even get it
But you have to
within
understand that
15 feet.
Azinger's just taking a stab. Azinger doesn't know what he's talking about.
I
So-
almost think Faraday was like, oh, they just showed us this pan putt. I'm going to take a shot knowing there's at least like a 54% chance he makes it because they put it on the screen in front of me.
Yeah. Why else would we be showing
Yeah.
CT Pan at this point?
Although he hung around when you thought
He cost me
that Hagee's 7.
He cost me by making birdie on 18 a good $350
Okay,
by
my last,
cutting my each ways down even more by getting back to -6.
I know there was a moment where it kind of went bad for everybody, but something happened to Shane Lowry in the middle, like
Round
in the
3?
middle of his back 9 Saturday.
He made the turn and just
And
completely
then-
imploded.
For the next 27 holes, he carried around a barf bag. Like, I don't mean that literally. He was, I guess, listen, he thought he could win, had a mindset to win, and then he was so dead. And he, I don't doubt checking out. There's a WGC and big golf, but I don't know.
Well, there was an Instagram video after the fact. I think it was of Lee Westwood at his place. And he's sitting like poolside. He's like, yeah, I missed the cut. I'm going on in the match play. Then you just see Shane Lowry in the background do a cannonball into the pool.
Oh, yeah. Lowry's,
So I don't think he's sweating it.
Okay, one more golf comment. Kiradash looks like he's dropped half a person.
Oh,
he's still big, but
he went full on Carl Peterson. And then Carl, is he
Oh.
also going to need ice cream to gain the weight back so
I
the
don't know.
swing
Yeah,
isn't compromised?
if he plays bad, he blames the weight loss. Fat guys have done that. Duffner did that for a bit too.
Is Duffner still skinny? Remember Duffnering?
JD used to say that he lost weight, that he didn't play as well, that like he threw his equilibrium off, if I remember. Not that JD didn't have other problems, but
Who?
John Daly. He had other problems? No. Get out of here, Tim.
I like John.
Does anyone dislike John Daly?
He's probably more famous than Justin Thomas. Like he has more name value than all the super elites that we speak
Well, it's
about.
kind of weird that you mentioned that because that kind of it's sort of like the Fowler thing right now, and even the Spieth thing for
Did
a
you see
while.
Fowler's comments this week because he was
Are you
asked
feeling good about his game?
No, that's a whole other thing.
I won the bet. Bryce Garnett.
We'll get
Bryce, the best of man Garnett.
People let me know right away they think I got duped, and I just had to accept it because one of the guy's odds were half the others.
What? Okay, Bryce Garnett's odds were 200 to 1.
No, I didn't. I'm like, no, I didn't get duped. They're like, the Bryce Garnett win short course. Mayo got you. I'm like, well, props to Mayo. Like he obviously picked a guy, but I had to take him at even money for a guy less than half, like more than half the other guy's odds. And it's a player I like. We can debate more, I guess, of that. Ricky, he was asked about the Faldo comments, and it was a fun little quote. He's like, listen, things aren't going great, but I'm lucky to have great partners and we make great commercials. Like, listen, I'm going to keep trying to knock this door down. But in the meantime,
I'm getting paid.
I appreciate my partners. And if I I might be shooting commercials Masters week now.
But that's
Justin Rose would do it.
Yeah.
Why can't I?
Well, it's the entire cachet that is Ricky Fowler, though. Like he's regardless of, I mean, part of it would be like if he stays shitty for like 5 years, he'll be irrelevant. But even if he's shitty for 2 more years, people are still gonna like Ricky, and he'll be in
And guess
commercials
what?
because people know who he is.
And guess what? He's going to fly in and out of these tournaments with Justin and Jordan. He lodges with them when they're like at these. So
Does that mean we're in store for a Justin Thomas like a year from now? He's gonna be like shitty for 2 years.
No,
He's
he
gonna
has no.
lose
But
his
does he
game.
have a
Thomas actually
girlfriend
won-
or a wife?
But JT's won
No.
stuff.
But so was
he won a
Spieth.
major.
But so was Spieth. Spieth
Not
won
a ma-
3.
People will come down on JT when he
Alexa.
gets engaged. I don't know if he has even a girlfriend right now. He seems like he's sort of.
Yeah, they showed her at the Players Championship last week.
Okay, yeah, I guess I should have known that. But people will call the JT downturn when he has a wife. Like just like Rahm is supposed to have a baby the week of the Masters. People aren't talking about that.
Let's bet Rom then. Rom baby swag?
But he said he'd leave too.
Leave us high and dry? Do you think DraftKings
No, would
Sportsbook?
leave the Masters for
Oh, I
the
thought
baby.
you meant left his wife because she had a baby on Masters week. Sorry, babe, you're out of here.
Well, man, and who has Rom learned a lot from playing golf? Phil. And Phil used to carry around that pager at the U.S. Open, saying he'd leave the course if he had to because his wife was having a kid. Like, I wouldn't. Of course, Rom's going to do that. Rom is an ASU guy too. Like, yeah, I
ASU
could
guy
see that.
won, Matt Jones.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I only knew that because I guess they put the college things up
On Saturday?
today.
Yeah, they put it up today. That's usually Golf Channel usually reserves College Day for being Saturday to flash up everyone's. Any more golf you got? We'll do golf tomorrow. We're not doing a recap tomorrow, though. That's why I kind of wanted to get it out of the way now for the recap of Honda because there's 16 pods to talk about once all of the match play comes out. Final item up for grabs this week from the Collectible app, Tim. Throw it up on the screen, Paul, so he can see it here.
Whoa.
It is a baseball signed by 11 original inductees to the Hall of Fame. You can buy into it for $10. The market cap for it right now is $300,000. The owner is retaining a lot of this. He's retaining $224,000 of it, so there's $76,000 available. But this thing's got to be worth more than that. You'd have to think so, wouldn't you, Tim?
I mean, that's Ty Cobb's signature. That's Cy Young. That's Babe Ruth. That's, I suspect, Walter Johnson. Like, those are not just some of the greatest baseball players to live ever, but like in terms of like famous people ever, and like all-time sportsmen. Like, yeah, there's Walter Johnson right there in the middle. Like, Walter Johnson, the best pitcher to have ever thrown a baseball. Babe Ruth, probably the best hitter to ever hit a baseball. Cy Young, one of the greatest pitchers to ever throw a baseball, for whom he's immortalized. That's an incredibly cool piece of memorabilia.
There's the Babe Ruth signature right there.
Yeah, I mean, no one ever did it better.
I just got a text to tell me the Custy results have been tabulated, so I'm excited to go look at that later.
This
I
is
saw that come up in my feed, and I was like, this must just be a pre-programmed thing that he sent out on the Twitters. But I was like, oh, voting closed today. And then I said, so I decided like a fool to open up and just, I don't vote because it would be, it'd be inappropriate for me to vote. But I looked at the categories and I was like, I defend most of what's going on here. And others would be like, oh God, how am I going to deal with this when this gets discussed?
Like that time you got everyone at that radio station not only fired, but the radio station closed.
I feel so bad for them.
Oh, you should wait until what I potentially have in store for you for the Custies about that. Is all I'll say.
That's a tease that they call in the biz. That's SEO right there.
This is like the coup de grace of this list that we put out, though, right?
oh yeah, this is beyond comprehension special.
$10 a share.
That's incredible.
That's the sort of thing you would bequeath to your grandchildren and great-grandchildren in a will.
Like, if it's worth $300,000 now, like, I don't understand unless it was damaged somehow. And, I mean, these are locked in vaults. They're completely insured. That's what Collectible does for all of this stuff to make sure that your money is secure with everything. That I don't understand how this could actually go down. Maybe you could explain it to me, but I just
No,
don't
I
know.
don't. I don't have a clue. I don't. Like I said.
Well,
to
Tim
me,
said he
it's-
liked it, so that's probably a
It's
negative.
worth more than precious metals. Like, I don't know how this could depreciate.
How precious
Honey
of a
Mac.
metal?
I don't know. I
Honey
don't. Well,
Mac
no. So I
thing.
guess there are incredibly precious metals, but I don't know how something like this could depreciate. I don't know how. I don't know how it's possible.
And maybe it was left next to like a, I don't know, 1988 Olympic Coke can, and then the Coke spilled out of it and got on the ball.
Just keep ripping that wound off. Go ahead. Just keep ripping that wound. It's fine.
I think we should invest in that one. We want to do that one or the jockstrap. They're both $10 a pop. We can own more of the Andre the Giant jockstrap, though. So, Tim, would this be at the top of your list now, more than the Hank Aaron card or the Willie Mays card?
This is by far the coolest thing I've seen.
Would this be something you would showcase in your house next to your cans and Batman Forever mug?
That I don't have anymore.
Well, that guy was offering that you can buy fractional shares.
No,
of
but it's
his
not
mugs.
mine. It's not to say it's not.
Well, it is yours. If you buy a fractional share, you are a part
No.
owner. You get to vote in the shareholders meeting.
Yes, no, I understand, but I'm talking about my mug. I'm talking about my cans. Like I
cans.
I nurtured them.
Oh, my precious cans.
Nurtured them.
It sounds like you took real good care of them, Tim.
Evidently, I'm just. All I can do is keep my plant alive. Everything else I have, like, seems like it just all falls apart.
Who trusted you with a plant?
I bought a plant a year ago, and I've been looking after it. It's a shamrock plant. I named him Seamus.
Is it... Were we talking to Tim about how he's like really triggered that he couldn't get a McShamrock on
Yeah,
St. Patrick's
Shamrock
Day?
Shake or
Shamrock
something,
Shake, they're the best. Just the best. That is top tier deluxe milkshakes.
There's also a Wayne Gretzky rookie card on Collectible right now. I don't need to bid on it. My dad has two.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's
Are those the
awesome.
Indianapolis Racers ones?
No, it's
The Oilers, the OPG.
I think it's
right?
the 1977 Edmonton Oilers one, which is like
So not the WHA.
No, not the WHA. So I can find it on here. I think I don't know what his would be graded out as is the problem, because I don't think he has taken the best care of them over the years.
They at least been kept safe.
They've been kept safe, but like I think the one that's graded up there right now is an 8.
My dad has a bunch of cool hockey cards from like the 60s and 70s, but he used to put them in the spokes of his bike.
Yeah, that happened
make
to a lot
cool
of people.
noises. Apparently that was just a thing that people did back then.
Yeah, no.
So like they're all bent and in bad shape.
Well, I mean, you could look at it one way because a lot of people are buying these cards now, like all your Herbert cards.
Yeah.
Like you brought them in to show off on the show, but it's not like you do anything with them. At least back in the day when you bought, like they're investments is essentially what they are. That in like the 60s and 70s and even the early 80s, mid 80s, that kind of thing. That when you got the cards, you played with them because they were toys.
Exactly. No, that's well put. They're an investment now in a way that they were a plaything back then.
Yeah.
Particularly in an era where people didn't have nearly as much as we do now.
True. Oh, there's a Mickey Mantle card coming soon? A 1952 Mickey Mantle card, Tim. A Babe Ruth? A 1916 Sporting News rookie card, Babe Ruth, valued at $3.69 million, will be coming soon to the Collectible app. It's pretty good. Oh, a Sidney Crosby sign card. I wonder if it's that Tim Hortons card that I got. Probably not, since this one's worth $200,000.
Yeah, probably not.
I feel like that would be a safe one.
I would think so.
A Crosby. Out of like, it's not really necessarily our era, but those guys are the same age as us. So from the time that we were in college,
I used to play hockey against Crosby. So yeah, he's exactly the same age as me.
Yeah, he is exactly the same age as you, isn't he?
Yeah.
Was that before or after his dad wasn't allowed in arenas anymore?
I think it was around the same time. We were about like 9, 8 or 9. I played against him.
How'd that go?
I don't remember. I don't remember anything about the game. I just remember even then his name was buzzing in and around here. Like people knew that he had a special talent.
Meanie played against him too at a bit of an older age because Meanie's the same age as me, so that'd be like 2 years older than Crosby. Crosby was so fucking good that it was just like, you go play up against people who are 2 years older than you when you're 11 or something like that.
Wow.
And Meanie's like, it was just fucking. You don't play against people like that in your lifetime. No. It's just. You notice it. Right now, actually, IPO is live for this, Tim. $10 a share up on the Collectible app right now. Punch in FTN if you go to it. A Sandy Koufax 1964-1965 Dodgers jersey. $426,000. Looks pretty sharp. Why is Koufax stuff so valuable?
Because Sandy represents the pinnacle of the player that burned so brightly that he couldn't last as long as others. Like his flash was brighter than anybody's. And I'm also sure baseball in the 1960s also had a resonant culture with the Jewish community, and him being a superstar athlete who happened to be Jewish. I'm sure Jeff can speak to this. Like that holds a special place in a lot of people's hearts.
Yeah. Did you have a Sean Green jersey growing up?
He was very popular. He was very popular.
But I bet you Sandy
Hold on,
Koufax for your
I went to a when I was younger, my dad, I went with my good friend and both of our dads to Dunedin for spring training, and we were at an Outback Steakhouse, and we saw Sean Green having dinner with a couple other Jays, Paul Control, whatever. My dad and his buddy trying to be like, Menches, they paid for major leaguers dinner, right? But what in turn is after the meal,
let you go see Andre the Giant.
After the meal, they came over to say hi, and my friend's dad mentioned to Sean Green that he knew a nice Jewish girl for him. Like he needed help pulling tail in Toronto. But yeah, no, we were smitten with Sean Green. Absolutely.
I'm trying to think, who would be who's the biggest Jewish athlete now? Is it still Goldberg?
No, I don't know.
Are you sure?
Now I've run, now my Daniel Berger.
But is Daniel Berger the biggest?
I've completely forgotten, but there are some good ones.
Sounds like they're great.
Yeah, I don't know. Now my memory has slipped. No, sorry. Good ones is a stretch.
Ryan Braun?
There are more than there used to be.
Yeah, Ryan Braun was big for a while.
We won the National League MVP.
Just like Lamar Jackson won the NFL MVP. Tim got all triggered about that.
You don't think is important, but I actually think it's pretty important.
I got to ask Tim a live question. Did Florida just lose?
Florida is down 3, and Oral Roberts has the ball with 16 seconds left. I would say the Golden Eagles are in good shape.
I'm about to take a bath.
That's not good. Yeah,
I said to our friend there the other evening that I thought that Florida was free money in this game.
Are you sure Oral Roberts has the ball?
Maybe they don't have the ball. I'm watching it on mute, but they're up 3. Maybe Florida's inbounding.
They're down 3. Florida's down 3 with 16 seconds left. Do you want to just talk me through? Give me play-by-play.
Florida's inbounding from the backcourt. Yeah, they're taking it up the court. Number 1 crosses over. He
chance.
palmed it. They didn't call it. He takes a shot from about 19 feet, rattles, clanks. Florida gets the rebound, throws a Hail Mary, putback doesn't go, and that's game. Oral Roberts escapes.
Giving you some oral, pal.
Yeah,
That was my best Marv Albert impression without doing the yes when it goes in.
I mean, at least when you said the yes, you actually sounded like Marv Albert, not yourself. You were doing an impression there?
No, I was just doing my play-by-play, which I always wanted to be a play-by-play guy.
I gave you
Always thought I'd be really good
you
at
a chance when we were doing those Madden streams, and you like started to cry when the Jets fumbled the ball on the fake kick.
That was on the list of things to vote for, and I forgot about it, and it was like flashed back memories of disaster. I was like, oh my goodness, that's right. We did Madden simulation play-by-plays, and we watched Outlaw Tour Golf. I was like, this like really was a different world 12 months ago.
I think the craziest thing out of all of it, Paul
The
had
marbles?
was the marbles. The marbles were the single craziest thing. That or when Paul and Cody convinced me to bet on
Cage Warriors.
But I won a bunch of money on it, so I'm pro Cage Warriors.
Cage Warriors was on my Twitter feed last night. Something went on with the Cage Warriors.
Paul,
Yeah, there's probably a Cage Warriors card. But
I don't know.
Bartosz Fabinski, let's go.
okay,
That's who won us all the money.
the marbles in the sand. Do you remember this?
Yes. Oh, I remember
Cage
this.
Warrior.
I thought to myself,
yeah, marble. Guys, hit me up on DMs to promote his marble racing. I'm like, bro, I'm not selling your marble site.
Should have got in big bucks.
Like, he showed me a video. That was one of those things. Like I literally just like copy and pasted it into my like friends like group chat. Like, guys,
check
like,
this out.
Look at this shit.
I'm Jeff Feinberg, big shot. People want me to promote marbles.
yeah, I mean, back in college, many of us read Fukuyama's book, The End of History and the Last Man,
Missed it.
and betting on
Skip that
marble.
one.
Well, it's a very famous thesis about history
that
being
one.
over, and the Last Man, and how like nothing matters anymore. I just remember watching those marble races, going, "This is what Fukuyama and Nietzsche meant by last men. Like that's it. Like there's just nothing here anymore."
I wanted to quickly run these by you. So we talked about Jared Cook going to the Chargers. You could have had Gerald Everett, who,
like
who
that.
went to
That's
the
what I want. Yeah, I
Seahawks.
would've-
Feel like that
I
was a
like
better
Gerald
signing.
Everett.
I like that. I would have been down for that. Yeah.
None of them were as good as our signings, but
Well, Tim, run us through the Jet signings. Remember how pumped you were for the brief moment it looked like Juju was going to sign with the Jets, according to you and the message
I would have been
boards?
happy to have him. I would have been happy.
Oh,
to have
you,
Juju.
you! Not only would you have been happy, can you walk us through the excitement that you had and how good Darnold was going to be? You had like a good 10 minutes where this was.
Well,
it.
that would have been a USC connection. They're both young guys that haven't really tapped their full potentials, and they could have, they played together in that famous Rose Bowl where Darnold played great and Juju played great. So I had visions of, because now I'm to the point where I think 95% likely the Jets are not taking a quarterback in the draft in the first round with that 2 pick.
Is this a
Either
reverse
they're
curse
using
you're
it-
going for?
No, I just think that if you read the way they built their free agency, I think it's likelier than not they're rolling with Darnold this season, for good or for ill. So I don't know. That would have been another tool. But I think Keelan Cole, who they end up signing instead, is a perfectly fine player. But
So
I mean,
you learned his name now, so he's no longer Keenan
it was a
Cole?
typo. It was a typo. I was checking out a new grocery store in town when the news came out. And
What's the
I
new
just
grocery
typed out-
store?
Yeah, there's a new superstore that opened that I wanted to check out. And I couldn't find something, but I also didn't want to.
You went into a new grocery store that's like a chain grocery store?
Yeah, but it was supposed to be like new, and it's brand new, and there's all kinds of. It's the first one that's been open like 16 years around, 17 years around here, and it's supposed to be a little more different, a little more hip than other ones. Although it really isn't. But I couldn't find something I was looking for, but I also didn't want to ask the people working there because I was like, they've only been working here like a week. They're not going to know the inventory well enough. So, but I was walking around and I got the Keelan Cole news, and I meant to write Keelan, and I wrote Keenan. It was autocorrect or whatever with caps, but. He'll be fine. I mean, the coup de grace was Carl Lawson, who's just a marvelous pass rusher. It's
Tim found out who he was.
I knew who he was.
No, you didn't.
And I think that's exactly the type of rusher that Solon needs for his defense. And the guy we picked up today, Sheldon Rankins, that guy is a great player. That was a really nice signing. And then the other guys that we let go, that we got. I mean, I'm a fan of Corey Davis. I have been for a while. He's not a star receiver. He is a top tier wide receiver too. That's, I think, the top of his potential. But that's fine, right? When you put together him and Crowder and Cole and Mims, like that is a respectable wide receiving core. That there's no superstars there, but given that Miami doesn't have anybody who can catch the ball, the Patriots have a tight end who doesn't play and another tight end who isn't very good, and a receiver they spent way too much money on outside of what Buffalo has. And really, Buffalo has one receiver I'd even consider that I like in Diggs.
Well,
the Jets have the best receiving core.
all you did was praise when they signed Colonel Sanders.
Oh, I forgot about Sanders, right? That's also a very nice signing. So I guess the Bills do have the best receiving core in the division. The Jets definitely have the second best. But what is it worth? It doesn't matter when you have a 4, 5, 6, 7 win team. It doesn't really matter. I like Corey Davis. I think he's going to be fine. I think it's a nice signing. We got Jeff's boy to play offensive line, Feeney. I'm very excited about him. I think he's exactly the type of he will provide some structure and some skill to an offensive line that's starving outside of a superstar tackle.
Structure and skill?
I think so. That's what I'm expecting from him.
What do you know about him other than he's got a mullet?
Well, I mean, I've been watching YouTube highlights of all these guys.
From
Jared
college?
Davis, who we signed. Jared Davis, who we signed.
From college?
And from the Chargers.
There's a Dan Feeney highlight pack from the Chargers?
There's a highlight pack for everybody, Jeff. That's the one thing you learn when you scout by YouTube, as I do. Is that there is a YouTube highlight reel of everybody. Jared Davis, who we brought in, and Justin Hardy, who we brought in from Davis from Detroit, but Hardy from New Orleans. I'm very excited about him. He just seems like a leader of men, which is what we need. And then we brought in LaMarcus Joyner, who is a solid veteran who will play safety for Saleh, who I expect will be able to sort of play in the same way that he took Sherman, who was older and sort of a little bit past his prime, sort of rejuvenated him for a bit. I bet you that LaMarcus Joyner has a Pro Bowl style season playing safety for the Jets if he stays healthy.
So Tim's great on the Jets free agency. A+, it sounds like.
No,
everyone's great.
It's not an A+. I would say it's an A-. B+/. When I used to to mark papers, if it was in the middle, I'd give someone an B+/A-. And I'd write 79.5 on their paper. And that's what I would give this draft. B+/A-.
I always appreciated, Tim and I had a professor in college, and he had no real metrics to what he was up to in terms of grading. He would just read the paper and he'd give it a grade. He's like, that seems like a C paper to me. And then he'd read it again and grade it harder. Be like, nah, it's more like a D paper. And that's how he gave out grades.
I like it.
He was great.
What I used to do is I would read a paper the first time and say, okay, this is an A, and I realized after reading it, this is an A, B, C, D, or F paper. Then I read it a second time and decide, is it a good A? Then it's an A+. Is it just an A? It's an A. Is it a bad A? It's an A-. And that's how I would come up with grades when I read them. That's just the metrics that I use. That's just how I approached it. But so this was with it, B+/A-. So we did get Carl Lawson. It was one of the biggest free agents to grab. So I'm excited about that. But there were guys I would have liked, and it's fine. I mean, this is not a team that's going to make the playoffs doing this year.
I give it an A. It's fine.
No, I didn't give it. I think they did a good job. I think Douglas is competent. I'm very excited to see what he does now with the pick. Who he trades it to, because I think there's a very, 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 very strong chance that we are not picking it to.
I think you're picking a quarterback.
Yeah,
I think it's very unlikely. I think it's very unlikely at this point.
So now it's most definitely happening. What are you reading? Are you reading the Jets Reddit forums?
And also just Jets writers and people, they all seem to be reading the tea leaves the same way, which is that this is the offseason that you develop when you're kind of thinking about, if you're not in love with any of those quarterbacks, you can't take them at 2. So you can trade that pick to Carolina for a ton of stuff. Can you imagine if they give us McCaffrey and like 2 first-rounders? I would be delighted beyond belief to take that.
I don't think McCaffrey's only in play in a package for one player. I
disagree. I think that they would ship him out as a ad.
I think they would too.
And the Jets need offense. They're starving for weapons. If you're going to roll with Darnold, you need to give him every opportunity, and you have a ton of cap room. It would actually make sense in New York, and it would make sense for Carolina. Yeah. You get the quarterback that you love, and the Jets can go ahead and roll with a couple of first rounders plus this utility knife running back who's super talented.
We did find out how to become un-Anderhurst this week when Will Fuller signed with the Miami Dolphins.
Hey, yes.
So if you ever want to be uncursed out there, athletes, just sign with the Miami Dolphins.
I like Will Fuller.
No, you don't. Not anymore. You just trashed him when you were talking about the Dolphins receivers. They have no one.
Because it's the wrong spot for him. You know, the Dolphins have a quarterback who can't throw way down the field, and the skill that Will Fuller possesses at best is his deep ability. Well, they don't have a quarterback who can throw it 30 yards, let alone 40 yards or 50 yards.
According to QB data mind, they don't have a QB who can throw it like post 15 yards.
So we found we went through that today because Tim shared what you shared. The tweet was
Tim put it in your chat.
He put it in our chat after you sent it to him. So then we found some more stats from QB data mine. Did you know that Baker Mayfield was accurate on 29 of 52 deep passes last year, 56%, first out of 31 quarterbacks?
Impressive.
This is how Dolphins fans defend themselves by not actually arguing on the merits.
Sam Darnold was accurate on 10 of 31.
Bad at this. And he's
you constantly go on. No, the comment our Dolphins fan made was we were talking about Tua, and he said he was a rookie coming off a major injury with no preseason, and I never claimed he had a good season. Just I'm gonna see what happens. And
that's totally fair.
And then he just then he just said, basically, worst case scenario, Tua is Darnold. So I at least have 2 more years of claiming he's still young and good, like you've done. So here's some Sam Darnold facts from the same account. Darnold was accurate on 10 of 31 deep passes last season, 25th of 31. Sam Darnold, 5.5%, had the 29th ranked interceptable pass rate in the NFL in 2020. Sam Darnold, 49.2%, ranked 31st in depth-adjusted accuracy out of 31 qualifying quarterbacks. Sam Darnold was at 52% accurate on throws that traveled further than 5 yards downfield. Every other quarterback was at least 57% accurate on the same throws. So why can't our Dolphins friend just continue to prop up his young quarterback like you do?
I mean, this is not a way to argue. It's
that's what
logical
you do.
fallacy. It's what they call it in the logic tu quaqua. You too. Like so our quarterback is bad. Well, yours is bad too. Rather than arguing on the merits, which is fine.
But the person that you're arguing with never claimed Tua was good.
Well, but it's not that Tua isn't good. It's like Tua is the absolute worst.
But that's what we've been telling you about Darnold for 3 years. But you keep saying that he's great.
I'm not defending Darnold right now.
But you've just done it for 3 years, and you've made every excuse, even when he had what you called the bomb squad, the number 1 receiving core in the NFL, and then claimed he had no weapons.
Yeah, I mean, I can't defend myself, and I'm not going to try. Because I was obviously wrong about a lot of stuff. But what I can say is that I enjoyed the stats that suggest that Tua is not as good as Jeff and I kind of thought that he would.
But you don't allow people the same rope that you expect from them when the situation...
I don't get that rope. Flip it around. I don't get any rope, so why should I extend it?
Because you get rope. And then people are like, oh, okay. All of us, we all give you a bit of rope. Then you triple down and quadruple down and don't let it go. Yes, and then finally someone has to tell you like you're being insane.
Sorry, Super Bowl Sam?
He called him
Monday
Super
Night
Bowl
Football.
Sam 2 days ago. I swear when they were talking about getting Juju, it was Super Bowl Sam again all of a sudden.
Well, look, at least the receivers coming to USC aren't bashing Sam on their way out the door like the guys in Alabama are doing.
Well, then how come the receiver that he played with didn't want to sign with him?
That's a curious case, and I'm not sure I understand why someone would rather not spend a year with Mahomes or not spend a year with Jackson instead of spending a year in Pittsburgh, where it seems like, what are the Steelers looking for this year? 7-9, 6-10, 5-11? Like, that's not.
Is this like when you said that they were in contention for the first overall pick last year and then started 12-0?
And then they went down 35-0 in their first playoff.
They did.
Game.
They lost in the playoffs, Tim.
Yeah, obviously they did much better than I thought they would. But that's a division where you look at the Browns and the Ravens and maybe to a lesser extent the Bengals, but not really. But like the Steelers are clearly, I think, the third team in their division, and like there's not a whole lot to hope for in Pittsburgh. So I thought that was a very curious decision by Juju.
I like this Fuller to Miami move because although he is a downfield threat, he's also very good off the line of scrimmage, where you can just throw very quick outs to him and let him go do what he needs to do and make people miss. I think it's a help.
I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move in the sense that you have to see what he is. You have to help him out. You have to help him out.
The little smile Jeff had when he said,
no, hold on a second.
Are you guys going to be really mad if he's like all of a sudden good?
No.
Jeff's got a full house in poker and everybody at the table knows.
Yeah, I'm the worst poker player, but I make the same face when I got 2 queen as I do when I have like king.
But do you play queen 2 like it is?
No.
Pocket kings?
But
Queen Deuce makes more boats than any other hand.
This is what I will. Now there's
just like
so many.
It's like Jack 4 makes more 2 pairs. Than
I think it's a good
hand.
signing.
That's just a fact.
They got to get someone who could stretch the field because last year all the Dolphin fans were complaining there was no one there that was stretching the field. Although the data mine says that even if they could stretch the field,
it did make a difference.
There might have been some problems. Here is the issue. Well, just take Tim's point. Tua can maybe. I think Tua.
Why don't you say what you really
mean?
The
ceiling on Tua has changed. It's changed. He can't compete with certain other ceilings. There's still a place for him.
Just say Herbert. We know what you mean.
Burrow. There's a lot of the other young quarterbacks. Josh Allen. Anyone who's good and developing and on a great trajectory. I don't think it can be there. There's definitely There's definitely a place for him in the league to be a top 15 starter and to be very good and help a team and do what he does well. That is all very much capable for him.
Ryan Tannehill.
The most damning thing, though.
I would take Ryan Tannehill right now.
I still if anyone wants to argue it, one of the most disturbing things as it projects to long range NFL outlook this year was that Thursday night game versus the Raiders. This is the Raiders. Everyone was just chucking it down the field versus them and picking up chunks. And it wasn't even they were throwing them and they were incomplete. They weren't even throwing them. And then Fitzpatrick comes in and it's just up Chuck Kumaloo. I don't think so it was so weird. That was that was a night where I was holy shit. And I was already being not nice. But that was a night where I was holy shit, there is a real freaking problem, Pat. But that being said, as we've come through the offseason, I do believe that there is he's so low that I'm enjoying getting called out by your former teammates while reporters are trying to dig for a headline when they're asking you Mac Jones or Tua by these 2 kids are going to be top half of the draft prospects. That's so unfair, in my opinion. And some of the other talk, I think, is really unfair because, like your buddy who's a Dolphin fan says, that is 100% the case. Not everybody is going to, be a rock star right away. Might be to take a golf, a Patrick Cantley, slower burn path to being really good. Because back in the day when I used to start watching football or when Phillip Rivers was drafted, you didn't judge a quarterback till he played. You didn't even want to make an opinion on a guy until his 17th game, not his 7th. But things changed. Things got on hyperspeed. Russell Wilson got picked in the 3rd round and won a Super Bowl a couple years later, or was immediately successful. That every 2nd, 3rd round quarterback since feels a pressure they didn't feel before. And I mean that. And teams, because you said this in defense of making this Tua thing. And I hear professionals say this, because I love to watch the bits on the internet with guys I like who are quarterback people. In this modern era of quarterbacking, 98% of the time, we either see it. You either see it or you don't.
You see it or
and
you
that's
don't.
been your one go-to. It was the one thing you'd sort of press back on Darnold or other instances. You either see it or you don't. And I always go back to even with other guys that struggled early, like a Josh Allen, you saw like a ceiling. You're like, whoa, there's like a lot of like not right here, but whoa, there's a ceiling. And I didn't even feel that from Tua.
No, I guess I agree with you.
I didn't
see
plays. I don't mean hitting your ceiling. I mean plays that show us your
I
ceiling.
didn't see anything. That was sort of the problem. But I do wonder. It's like they didn't expect him to be playing at all, and then they found themselves in this like weird free roll situation. And I think it was pretty clear that Flores wanted to continue to play Fitzpatrick, and I think the organization leaned on them, and they didn't have like a Tua game plan. And that's why every time they put Fitzpatrick in, it's like, oh yeah, we can run this. We've developed this playbook for Fitzpatrick. What are you doing with Tua? It's like, as little as possible.
So is that because owners I see Joe Burrow, I see Justin Herbert, you've got to play this guy
Would
now?
that be crazy to think?
No, because we won one game. We were like the rebuilding joke a year ago. Look where we are. The program in Miami is amazing. What they can still do in free agency with their cap room to get a plethora of great one-year players.
They become the Patriots somehow.
To get a great amount, because there's a lot of guys in free agency that we're going to see over the next few weeks that are going to sign 1-year prove-it deals because they want to go back into the market when the cap is higher, or a 2-year deal so they can go back into the market with the new TV money. And the Chargers, I'm expecting to be very advantageous because they've got the cap room still to play with also. Be very aggressive in those 1-year veteran deals. Miami also owns pick 3 and 18. There's an opportunity to have an A+ free agency and an A+ draft.
So here's who still lingers out there on the free agent market right now. We got Melvin Ingram, who almost signed with Kansas City, apparently.
I hope not.
Yeah, well, so him and Clowney are both still available if you need someone to get to the quarterback or just play D-line. Tim's boy, Sammy Watkins, he's still out there. T.Y. Hilton, still out there. You can go get your former offensive lineman, Russell Okung, or Villanueva from Pittsburgh.
Or Trey Turner, who's a nice tackle, who had a short injury-plagued season with the Chargers.
You got to pay Okung in Bitcoin, though, I think, if you're going to go do it. Or is he like the richest guy in the NFL now?
Did he make as much as Rodgers last year now?
I think he may have made more,
yeah,
depending on it. And also, Tim brought him up earlier. Old man Dick Sherman. He's still floating out there. Like, as a
Casey Hayward?
As a third corner on a team, like, why wouldn't you bring in Sherman? Like, I assume he's going to go to Kansas City. Like, why not go to a team who's close if you're him at this point? What else do you have to prove?
I don't know.
Or you could go back to San Francisco. They're close, too.
Back there.
Are they close?
He does interviews.
You're removed from the Super Bowl, and everything went wrong for them last year, and they still won 6 games.
He does a podcast with Chris Collinsworth.
Richard Sherman?
For PFF. And they had Chargers' new head coach Brendan Staley on, and it seemed like there was a connection there. And even Collinsworth was saying, like, off air, you should have heard these guys talking bull. So
why don't they just put that on the podcast?
That should be
the podcast.
Maybe they were talking about maybe there was like some sensitive talk that like
when we had to talk to you and Tim earlier about, we're live right now. We can't cut it out in post anymore.
No, but I guess maybe he said something. Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it didn't. I would like to hear it. But I'm Sherman and hey, listen, I'm upset the Chargers weren't able to get Kyle Fuller out of Chicago. I thought that would have been perfect for a team that needs to compete with the Kansas City Chiefs.
So, Tim, you're great on Kenny Golladay to the Giants.
I don't know. I guess B-. You got to give Daniel Jones weapons, but I think it's too much. I don't love the contract. I'm not in love with Kenny Golladay.
I don't even know if any of these contracts are real at this point. Like,
that's fair.
You really have to look into them to see what they actually are right now. But I like Golladay. I think Galladay's great.
I'm excited for the Giants.
I'm excited for Golladay and Stafford to be out of Detroit and just to see what they can do. Because I feel like there's a Detroit stink that gets put on you after a while.
Marvin Jones is out of Detroit, too.
He went Jacksonville?
Did you see Urban Meyer's complaining already?
About Tim?
Yeah, why can't...
He didn't like how free agency is all about just throwing bags of money at the guy. He doesn't get a chance to get to know the man.
Because that never happened at Ohio State or
I'm sorry. Florida. Like when you're recruiting at Florida or Ohio State, you're in like a 5-man league. Like if a player's good enough to play for you, there's only like one of 5 schools he's going to go to. So you're not competing.
Well, that's it. He had an advantage, and when you're at Ohio State, there's 5 other schools that can compete for the top tier talent.
Listen, he has to compete against Joe Douglas now. Jets GM,
genius GM Joe Douglas.
I don't think Urban Meyer's going to last very long in Jacksonville.
It depends on how good
This
Lawrence is.
this is Steve Spurrier to the Redskins 2.0.
They're putting Lawrence in a pretty good spot. They beefed up the O-line. They didn't end up making that Chark deal, so now you have Chark and Marvin Jones, along with everyone's
There's
favorite.
still There's still money. Good veterans
Oh, yeah.
that can come in there. Absolutely.
You have to beef up the defense a bit, I think. That's going to have to eventually be in play.
Who's even the coordinator? Some new person, or I feel like it was a very retread staff, but whatever.
The only other one, why did Vegas sign Kenyon Drake?
I don't know, man. Who knows what is going on there?
Gruden loves backs.
But they have Josh Jacobs. Like, I'll give Josh Jacobs 45 carries a game.
It does make sense to bring in more. It does make sense in today's NFL to not just have one running back that is predominantly your guy. Like to have
Sure, but now they're investing a whole bunch of money into the running back
There's
position.
a way to sign your backup running back, or even like
Booker was fine for them. He actually signed with the Giants, which just take Devontae Booker in the last round of every draft you're in this year, in case Barkley gets hurt, because he's going to end up with like 25 touches a game. Like Gallmania, when that used to run wild last year. Trubisky to the Bills, Paul?
I ain't scared.
What happened to Bills' presumptive starter from last year, Jake Fromm, Tim, according to you?
Barkley's gone, obviously.
I think it's a great signing.
Yeah. It's good
I
insurance,
do too.
really.
I-
That's really all it
one-year
is.
deal
That's
at
a
the
high-end
school-
backup.
At the school of Daboll, like that is showing a commitment to to humble yourself. In many ways, how I appreciated Jameis taking the 1 year to be in New Orleans, part of great coaching and a good system.
Yeah, but I don't think that Jameis. I guess it actually turned out that he
different-
needed to do it, but like Trubisky wasn't going to be.
Okay,
a starter.
yes, you're right. You're right. Jameis, like
No one
could've-
was like, you know who should sign? Mitch Trubisky.
100% right. Like they're in different paths, I would say. But if you've got to rebuild yourself, a 1 year deal under Daboll, I think, is a good place to try to do
like
it.
if anything was to happen to Josh Allen this year, I think Trubisky would look good in that Buffalo offense. And if he plays
I agree.
if he plays 2 games and looks really good, he gets a job next year.
And Tim is one of these people who's like anti-Allen, who is waiting for the completion percentage to totally regress, and would probably tell you there's not much of a drop-off between Trubisky and Allen.
Well, I wouldn't go that strongly. I will say that I think it's reasonable to expect a regression in accuracy. Yes, it would kind of be surprising if it didn't happen to some degree. But he's obviously Trubisky's nowhere in his class. But Trubisky, like Pat said, is a very top tier backup quarterback. If Allen breaks his thumb and is out for 4 weeks, he's exactly the type of guy that you want to run the ship of state to go 2-2 or 2-3 or 3-2 to get you through a tight spot. So if Buffalo went to the championship game last year, they're obviously a team that can win the Super Bowl. They're one of the few teams in the AFC that could legitimately take a run at Kansas City and Baltimore and the top teams. And so, yeah, it makes sense to, when you're in a position like that, spending money and getting a good guy to back up your QB is critical.
Yeah, I think this actually shows that the belief that Buffalo has in itself right now, that
And they should.
If something happens to Allen, like here's someone we can bring in. Like Matt Barkley is the guy who starts for you in week 17.
Yeah,
That's who he is.
And he actually had to come in the Charger game, and Bosa got right in his face and put him to the carpet quickly.
Yeah. So if anything happens to Allen, I like this situation better. Brissett went to Miami. What do you make of Fitzmagic in Washington? McLaurin, they get Curtis Samuel. You got Antonio
like
Gibson
Heineke.
coming back.
I like Heineke.
Heineke was fun to watch in that playoff game because he was all over the place, but you got to think that Fitzpatrick's the starter. Then he'll get replaced mid-season.
It's a strange move. Like, now he's probably going to suck because that's just how
Yeah,
the
that's-
Fitzpatrick zigzag works. And I mean, it's a 1 year deal. It shouldn't preclude them from still be looking on the outlook for a
No, but
long-term
it kicks the
solution.
can down the road because so many teams are going
And
for
the
a quarterback
division's
this
wide open, I guess. So that's sort of part of it.
I mean, they just won it.
year. Who is
The division's not wide open. Like, as long as Dallas is healthy. As long as Prescott's healthy.
Now listen, I love Dak, and Dallas could completely kind of flip the script, but it's not like Dallas was undefeated when Dak went out last year.
wasn't.
No, but they went 6. They went 6-10 without Dak, and the division was won at 7-9. So
You got to think that one of those teams is better than 7-9 this year. Like there's probably a 10-6 team in there. Maybe Hurts is really good.
yeah, maybe I wouldn't put that past them either. But I Dallas would be my would be my pick at this point.
Have the Eagles done anything in free agency? I can't think of a move they've made. Maybe I'm just blanking on it.
I can effort that.
I don't know.
Anyway, that's all I got. Like, if we actually did a radio show every day, I feel like that this is what the show would be like.
Maybe.
Oh, totally. It would just be a hang.
Hanging with Pat, Jeff.
Unlike the radio show that I lost from every morning, which I still haven't found a replacement for.
Is that not a hang? Paul, yes.
Hey, Tim, in our DMs today, you had a claim that was particularly egregious. There was this picture of this sandwich.
Did you see this, Jeff?
Ate half of my sandwich, probably saved the other half for later. And then, so
Hold on. Oh, no, Jeff hasn't seen this.
Oh.
So Jeff, what do you think? Because Paul asked the question that you asked Tim, and we'll see if Jeff can guess Tim's response to it. Ask the question.
Oh, what do you want me to do?
I want you to ask Jeff what you asked
so
Tim.
I wrote TC approved, and he goes, no, I don't.
But why? Why is it not TC approved, Jeff?
Oh, because he doesn't eat leftovers. That rant I saw.
Yes.
Like he's disdain for leftovers.
But didn't we have an entire thing where Tim would bring home his toast from a diner and then reheat it in the microwave?
Yeah, I think you're being disingenuous. Is the
No,
word.
those are not leftovers in the same way. That's food I bought at a restaurant. That's my property that I'm taking home with me to finish. And I'm not
I
going to
never
eat it.
support saving the other half for later. Eat
I
the
like
whole
that. It's
dang
not the
sandwich.
insanity of eating a sandwich that way. It's the fact that you don't eat leftovers is your problem with it.
It's not that I don't eat leftovers. It's that I don't like eating leftovers very often. It's a rare thing. Yes, if I had too much food at a restaurant and I brought that back, that's fine. After Thanksgiving or Christmas, that's fine. But I don't like reruns, leftovers, whatever. I don't care for them that much. I like to eat something different every day.
You have said that you have microwaved leftover toast from a diner.
Yeah, but if I eat that at lunch and I got it at breakfast, that's not the same thing. I'm not eating the same supper.
How is that
snacks
not the same? What are you
That's
talking
the most
about?
disgusting thing you
That's
could
the weird-
possibly
that's-
like you got to get new bread if you're gonna heat up a sandwich, or at least
No,
put it in
and
the
also
oven.
but again, I didn't say I'm 100% against leftovers. I'm just mostly against leftovers. Yes, if I go to a restaurant and I buy food and I don't, for whatever reason, finish that food, that's my property. It's coming home with me, every bit of it. I don't see a contradiction here.
You won't eat the same because you said you didn't want leftovers. That's clearly leftovers.
I don't like leftovers, but occasionally I'll have. Of course, it's not that I'll never have them. I just don't have them very often. I like to eat different things every day.
See, I have no problem eating the same thing all the time.
yeah.
I do. I eat the same thing like back-to-back days because I'll make so much of one thing. I'll just have it 2 days in a row. I like it. It's a difference.
I don't care for leftovers. Now, did you say, Jeff, that you spoke to a friend of yours who also doesn't care for leftovers?
Yeah, no, and I would say my friend who despises leftovers, even good leftovers, like pizza. And we joke that he's the most elitist. He is one of the more elitist guys we know. So it's a very
So he's like TC.
elitist take. But he at least owns that. If we say that, Tim considers himself a man of the people far
don't
from.
consider myself.
Men of the people
am.
eat leftovers. The people eat leftovers, and if you are a man of
occasion.
said people, you have
How
to eat
often are people eating leftovers?
Always.
A lot?
The men of the people don't need
always.
tea to shovel.
I needed it this week, I'll tell you that.
You know, Tim didn't know that you're supposed to lift with your legs when you shovel. He was lifting with his back and arms.
It's not that I didn't know you had to lift with your legs. It's that I didn't understand what that meant. I heard before people say lift with your legs, but your arms are on the shovel.
You've done
And
a
you're
chin up?
Twist, with counterbalance. And anyway, I tried to lift with my legs on Friday when we had a bunch of snow, and my back was so bad I had to use the heating pad all day yesterday for a while. Much good it did me.
You had to use the heating pad on your back?
Yeah, I was very sore.
So you weren't lifting with your legs.
Well, but then I saw
We sent
I
you
guess I wasn't
we sent you those instructional videos.
yeah, but they're getting down too low. I can't get down that low to shovel.
But it takes
I'm
you
just pushing and then lifting.
you're just pushing then lifting, then how's your back hurt at all?
Well, because it's really heavy, so you got to lift to throw it up on the pile or whatever. It took me 2 hours. Hour and 55 minutes.
Oh my
You
god.
claim to be able to jump from space, but you can't shovel snow properly.
I did shovel it. It's just I was really, really stiff, and I'm still am kind of. It's 2 days later. I'm still kind of stiff.
So I have an interesting theory on leftovers. I think the crappier the food and place that you eat, the better the leftovers are. High-end leftovers aren't great
I love
because like
that.
it's made in such a way that you want to eat it the moment it, like if I go get like my wife and I go get like duck or something like that, and it comes like with the entire meal, and then she never finishes everything she eats, so she brings it home. And then she'll ask me later like, "Do you want the leftovers?" Like, yeah, I guess so. Like, this sounds great. I'm gonna have some duck. It's not great reheated food. Like pizza is awesome reheated food. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so you're right, because like KFC the next day is never as good as KFC the day
Fried
of.
chicken's
not
good.
not not what I was going to say.
Fried chicken is good reheated food.
Yeah, it's fantastic for reheated food. It's also fantastic, much like basically, if you can eat it cold, it is probably good leftover food. You can eat pizza cold, better heat it up, but you can eat it cold in a
agree.
pinch. KFC, you can eat cold out of the fridge. That's not a problem.
Oh, I would never do such a thing.
You've never eaten KFC cold out of a fridge?
I don't think that I have.
Am I the only one who's done this here?
I do
I
it
have.
all the
We've
time.
all done
You
it.
just grab a
Tim-
drumstick out of the
Yeah,
fridge.
just
just
let's go.
Just
It's a real
hand
it's a real hungover move. But
No, it's great.
Tim, fake man of the people.
yeah, Tim, no
I
man
am
of
a
the
man
people.
of the people.
Yeah,
but,
you're,
like,
yeah. You know
leftovers are a
what?
bit-
You
a
know.
bit
You
much.
know what? You're a man of the people if you think that everyone is Louis the 14th.
Louis the Sixth. Well, the Louis the 14th was the Sun King. Louis the 16th was the one married to Marie Antoinette.
Yeah, but he died. Like he got killed.
Well, they all died.
yeah, but Louis the
They all died.
14th wasn't just like murdered.
Tim too rich
No,
have like a
no.
personal chef or something.
He might.
No, I don't. But I don't. I don't really like leftovers that much. That's my thing. I never did. Growing up, we had them all the time, and I developed a antipathy towards them. And I remember swearing to myself that when I was cooking, I wouldn't have that many leftovers. I could have something new every day, pretty much, with exceptions. Like, I mean, yeah, pizza's a prime example of something. There's nothing wrong, but I wouldn't eat pizza twice for supper. I'd have it at lunchtime the next day, and then I'd have something else in the evening. So even then, like leftover turkey. But even if you're having leftover turkey, you're not having like the mashed potatoes and gravy and vegetables for your leftovers. You're usually doing pot pie or hot turkey sandwiches or something else with it, right? So it's not quite the same thing. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of leftovers. I never was. I don't care for them, except in rare instances. Like if we have a big crowd of homemade baked beans, I can have that 2 nights in a row. I can live with that.
That's your
Well,
exception. Your exception is baked beans.
So weird.
Homemade baked beans with fresh molasses.
It's not even from a
onion, double
restaurant.
baked.
You don't own it.
When you say homemade, do you mean you're cracking open a can?
No. When my mother or grandmother would make,
Oh, okay,
like
okay.
give you a big crock of like homemade baked style, like Boston style molasses baked beans, which I absolutely adore. Like that's fine to have 2 times, or if like someone makes you a casserole and you have that casserole 2 nights in a row, I guess.
Who's making?
But,
who's
like,
making? Is this just stuff your grandma makes you?
Sometimes my
who the-
mom
who
will
the
make it
fuck
for me
is making
too.
you a casserole?
Sometimes mom will make me a casserole. She makes like this Mexican one that's really good. And so I'll have that for a couple of
What's in a
nights
Mexican
row.
casserole?
It's got
Beans.
it's got beans and chickpeas, and it's got ground beef that's cooked with like that taco sauce, and it's got jalapeno and peppers and noodles, like those spirally noodles, one of those rigatoni in there. It's absolutely delicious. It's a very, very tasty, and then covered with like Tex-Mex cheese. It's a very tasty casserole.
All right.
But no, like 95% of the time, leftovers aren't for me. They're for others maybe, but they're not for me.
Not for Tim. Hates leftovers, but claims to be a man of the people. Jeff is.
I am a man of
Jeff,
and for.
Jeff is fading here. It is late on a Sunday evening, and it looks like he's made another bet that is currently losing. That's my
No,
guess.
No more bets.
You kept checking another score.
Something else.
Did that lose?
No, those. Just looking at things.
Were you looking at your Herbert investment on water?
On water? Oh no, that's long term. I don't look at that ever.
That's a long-term play.
Yeah, it's a long term play.
All right. Well, I want to thank you for being here. I
I
want
think
to
it's
thank
jerky.
What?
I think it's a jerky company, like beef jerky.
Oh, not like prank calling people.
The jerky boys. God, I haven't thought about those crank calls.
I am
You're worried.
weaning though. I am weaning.
You're less excited.
I am weaning.
Well, I want to thank Jeff for being here, Paul, behind the glass. All of you who watched live, if not, smash the like button, play in the Listeners League link. Jeff and I will be back tomorrow for the Match Play Golf Show. Also want to thank Tim Cust.
That is not my name. But don't worry, pilgrims, we'll be back. Okay, Mr. Wayne, I agree with you. You're welcome. I'm not Bruce Wayne. I'm John Wayne. Pilgrim.
Subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. He's doing John Wayne sort of impressions, I guess.
Can you do Harry Carey for the people in the chat?
Linda Ham! That's what I got.
All Tim's impression sounds like the person he's trying to impersonate.
Sorry to the people in the chat. They've been asking for hours.
All his impressions sound like kind of that person, but if they're having a stroke.
I didn't get any Harry Carey there.
It's just Tim
From
yelling.
that SNL skit. People know that skit, right?
The Linda Ham skit where Joan Allen is the guest. No, Tim, that's not the one that's rebroadcast all that often.
No, I
I
had
thought-
no idea. I was like,
No, they know the Jeff Goldblum one.
Oh.
You don't know that?
I don't.
Give your
I know the
fucking
one.
head a shake, pal. We got to get out of here. Thank you all for watching. Smash like, Listeners League link. Oh, $100 giveaway if you rate and review fantasy baseball picks and bets on Apple Podcasts. 5-star review, Twitter handle, email, something you enjoy about the show. We're giving away those $100 tomorrow on the Pat Mayo Experience. And thanks again to Collectible. Download the Collectible app right now. Get in on some of those IPO shares. Own a piece of sports history and use code FTN to tell them that FTN and the PME sent you. All right? We'll see you next time.